yours, but still in me. I cannot detox from this condition, conviction. You're inside my misery box. I'm still never free from this addiction, affliction. Now it's yours, but still in me. Cannot detox from this condition, conviction. You're inside my misery box. I don't deserve you. You stay true. I want to save you from my misery. You couldn't save me from my misery. I'm addicted to my misery box. Addicted to my misery box.
There we go, chat. Good morning, good morning, chat. Hello. Welcome to the delicious morning nonsense. Where is this? Come on. Why is it so weird every day? It's so weird every day with this whole thing. All right, I got it correct now. There we go. Nice and fixed. I was like, which one is it? It's like, boop, no, that's not it. Is it over here? There it is. But welcome back, chat, to the episode of Delicious Morning Nonsense. Oh, we have some stuff to go over today, chat. We have some stuff to go over today, and I have very interesting. I think you'll find a very interesting extra video today. It's not short. It's not. It's a little bit. It's not like insanely long, but I mean, it's not like 3 minutes like with the Space King. That was a very entertaining 3 minutes. Space King, the board game. All right, chat. But should be pretty fun today, chat. I think I got a lot of stuff over here. So let's get started, shall we? Let's get started with today. Carlos Batista says, good morning, LD and Best Chat. Well, good morning to you, Carlos Batista. Hudson Bum says, morning, folks. Activist representation fails because of racism. Everyone else, no. Your shit sucks. Nobody likes it. GTFO. Yeah, I think everyone liked. No one cared about like the race stuff. Like, oh yeah, this is a cool movie. It's got this actor in here that I like. It doesn't really matter about what you didn't really used to matter the race of the actor. Really, it was just kind of like, I like this actor. All right, Samuel Jackson is playing this character, or whatever. That's kind of how the Avengers got grandfathered in. Like nobody cared really around that time. Like not really, right? It's just it's like so they brought out like a Samuel Jackson, Nick Fury, Black Nick Fury, who was a white character, and so technically speaking, that was a race swap. But it was kind of heralded in, grandfathered in by the old era before we really got down to the whole, everyone getting angry at everything else. So I mean, I know, I know, like in 2012, it was kind of that was like the really the beginning of it all. Like that was like kind of where woke really started to take hold, but it hadn't taken hold quite yet, and we weren't saturated quite yet with their ideology and their ideology's talking points. And so like, yeah, they just walked in with Black Nick Fury and nobody cared because it was Samuel Jackson. It's awesome. It's the wokies that kind of made us realize that this is what they were doing, that they were kind of insisting on XYZ sort of race swaps and things. And so now we know what they're doing. And so that's kind of why people are very sensitive to that now. Even if it's Idris Elba, just taking over for Man at Arms, and He-Man in the He-Man movie, that sort of thing. So if this were 2012, no one would care. So they're trying to market it. They're trying to frame it up as if everyone was always like racist and everyone was always just complaining about certain minorities being in movies and things, which was not the case. It was not the case at all. They made it this way. They made it this way because they let us know that these aren't just choices made because of merit. These are choices made because of ideology, and that every single time they have a race swap, it's a victory. That's why everyone is so insulted, and they're not doing it because of merit. Again, they're doing it because of ideology. So they're giving away roles not because a person can is the best fit for that role, but because they're pulling in favors, or this person shares their politics, or something like that. So that's it. That was it. Like 2012 Avengers, nobody cared. Nobody cared about race swaps and things because hey, the movie's cool. Who cares, right? But now we know. Now we know, and they have ruined it for everyone else. Everyone else. Everyone is sensitive to this kind of stuff now. So yeah, but no one, no, the whole thing about everyone's just racist. No, that was not the case whatsoever. Wokies made everyone aware about this stuff, and wokies kind of ruined it for everyone by tainting every decision. Now, every decision they make in Hollywood, we have to second guess. Like, okay, why did they do this actually? Why did they make this character this minority? He was white in the book. Why? Why is that? And then you know what the most unfair thing of it all is, that we get blamed. We're the ones that can take the heat. Like this, we point it out, we complain about it, we talk about it, and we're the ones being demonized, even though they were the ones that set this whole line of cause and effect going in the first place. But yeah, they're trying to say, "Oh, everyone's just racist." Like, no, no one was. It wasn't racist. No one cared until they stepped in and started saying, "Ha ha, we win every single time there is a race swap or whatever." So everyone was cool. Everyone was cool back then. No one had to even justify their choice to make Nick Fury black. It was just like, "Oh, Samuel Jackson, Nick Fury, that's awesome." No one cared. But now everyone is a lot of people, or at least a lot of people, are aware. And to make things worse, at least even if we were sensitive to race swapping back then during the time of the Avengers, Samuel Jackson is pretty cool. Like we like seeing Samuel Jackson play cool guys in movies. But now it's like, okay, why did you choose this guy? Oh, because he hates Trump. That's it. Like, oh, he's outspoken against Trump, so he gets new roles in Hollywood. He gets attention. He gets money. He gets promotion. He likes to do roles where he demonizes white people, so he gets more promotion. That's how it is, and these are the people getting all the work now are the people who are just like, who have elbowed their way into top positions or executive positions through politics and fear. And so it all comes together in this really strange cauldron, this really strange cocktail, bubbling cauldron of evil, where it's just like, okay, the movie's terrible, the acting is terrible, the casting is terrible, the writing is terrible, and it's full of race swaps and man hating. It all comes together, and everyone's like, this sucks. And also, I'm not going to go watch it because I already know it's going to suck, because it's all about it. The whole talking point is about ideology and wokeism and how men suck and white people suck or whatever it is. And then everyone's like, "Oh, you don't want to watch it because it's racist." Like, no, we don't want to watch it because it's going to be low quality swill. That's kind of the main thing that happens, right? It just happens to be that way. Now, if it's good, this is kind of why Nolan made such a great splash with the Odyssey, because I said before, well, I do find some parts of it cringe, because some of it is cringe. Unfortunately, it's still Christopher Nolan. It's still a guy that you have to. I mean, he still knows how to do things. The reason why a lot of people are, even over here in the anti woke side, are fans of him, because he's really good at what he does. He's really good at making movies. I mean, you might not like his style, you might not like his pretentiousness, but sometimes game appreciates game, and I really so sometimes the pretentious guys appreciate other pretentious guys. That's kind of where I'm coming from. So I like Christopher Nolan's style, even though in the grand scheme of things, I might disagree with the whole philosophy he has going on. But I do like his presentation. I like where he tends to go with things. Okay, there's a grounded look at things. Okay, Grounded Odyssey, interesting choice, but I'm willing to give it a shake. And I took it on. I take it as Christopher Nolan's Odyssey, like his version of the Odyssey, and I liked it all right. There's some things I really liked about it, like the Trojan horse scene. That I like that a lot. That the Trojan horse, where you see them inside the Trojan horse. I like that idea. I like the concept of that. I liked quite a bit. Um, the cinematography, the some stuff that he used. There's some things in there I really like, but um, it was still bogged down by the modern day ideologies and wokeness, like a little bit. And so it could have been to me a 10 out of 10, but it was bogged down quite a bit writing wise. Even aside from the casting, writing wise, it kind of went down to maybe a 6, if I'm generous, maybe a 7. Like, but um, you have to recognize that Christopher Nolan is still pretty good at what he does. He's still a pretty good movie maker. You might not like him. I mean, everyone has like an opinion on things, but there's a reason why he's popular, and at least he could put together a movie. But what they say, the Odyssey was a victory, but I think the Odyssey was a huge failure because I mean, in their eyes, obviously it made a lot of money and things, but really, if you're kind of betting on woke to win, it was a failure because it probably would have had more momentum. It probably would have had more success and gravitas if they didn't have wokeness in there. Like it was just a politics free movie, and it was neutral in things, and it didn't like market itself so heavily on like the diverse casting and how much it was going to ravage the history of the Odyssey and its spirit and things. Right, that's how it goes. If they didn't kind of market it so heavily on those aspects, it probably would have done a little bit better. Probably would have made $1 billion a lot faster. Because people are tired of wokeness. Like even normies are tired of the wokeness. They might not see interviews and things, but they're tired of wokeness. They're tired of the race swap. They're tired of all of this stuff because they kind of equate it. They kind of equate these things to low quality. It's how it goes. Like I said before, it all comes together in that one big cocktail, and we kind of naturally look at things now and say, okay, well, that's low quality. That's a detriment. I don't want to see this. It's kind of like that one Disney style that we see. That one generic Disney style, people just see that style of animation and think slop, right? That modern day Pixar style, I guess you could say, where it's like what is it called? Turning Red, like Turning Red, Moana, things like. There's like that one style of animation that people kind of see and just instinctively go, "Oh, this is slop." Because it's not because that style is slop necessarily. It's because we've seen so much stuff coming from the industry in that style that happened to be slop that we just see that style now and we negotiate we equate it to slop. That's how it goes. So it's one of those things. It's not because everyone's racist. It's because they insist on doing race swaps, for example, and then bragging about it in terrible movies, and they make the movies terrible, and they all suck. So now we know that every single time there's a race swap, oh, is this going to suck now? It's so they made their own prophecy come true. It's not because everyone's suddenly racist. It's because one thing they like to do race play, I guess, and they like to play around with race. They like to use it as a cudgel against their enemies. And so now, whenever race comes up in any way, it's suddenly like, okay, well, everyone, even normies now know, like, okay, well, this might be a bad idea. It might be a bad movie. That's how it goes. They did this. They did this. Their actions, their smugness, their choice to use ideology over quality did this. Now everyone has been, after like 10 years, everyone has now made their assumptions. Everyone has now formulated their instincts. So now we see this quality. We see this style of animation, this style of animation. Boom, slop. Right? We see a movie marketed on race swaps and man hating. Oh, it's slop. Not going to go see that. And we're seeing that in action. But the Odyssey, the trailer and things, it was built around a story about the Odyssey. The Spider-Man was built around a story, a Spider-Man giving up everything he ever loved and knew so that MJ could survive. That's what drew people in. That's what they liked. Okay, even the trailer of Supergirl, even if you just even if you wave away the interviews and all that stuff, what's Supergirl trailer about? It's about her being a burnout loser and and just kind of like hating on Superman, even in just the trailer. So people want to resonate with a story, not about man hate, not about just hating being American or something like that. They want to resonate with a story, a cool story they can believe in. And a story like the Odyssey was bound to attract people's attention. It's like a simple story like the new Spider-Man, where he's like giving up everything for the woman he loves. The most classic love stories, at least classic of premise love stories. People resonate with that. It's so easy, and boom, what happened? It's skyrocketed even past the Odyssey, and so that's what people want to see. People want to see story. They don't want to see marketing based on man hating and being anti-American, being anti-Trump. They don't care. They want to see if they're going to spend 30, 40, $50 at a movie theater to go see a movie, they want to know if it's going to be entertaining. And I think that's kind of really hitting home after almost 10 years, like 2016, 10 years ago. They people, even normies, know that the woke stuff is terrible. We want to see normal movies again. It's every time a DA product fails, Chud get its wings. Yeah, hopefully. Krillin Butterfly, arise, dog prince of words. Hello to you, Krillin Butterfly. I'm here for the Fukun late or early. Hello to Daikarai. Gershman says, admitting that you were not there for cupcakes in a documentary is a strategy. Oh yeah, I saw that. I haven't seen the documentary yet, but I have seen that Mike Klum, the guy who did the Boogie documentary, has done one on EDP. And then Boogie, of course, had to make an appearance. I assume that he got paid. I assume that Mike Klum went ahead and paid Boogie, and Boogie just kind of like took the money and said something. And said whatever. Like, what does Boogie have to do with EDP? And then Chris Chen was in there, apparently. I got to see this documentary. Did you see that Boogie documentary and think that he was a good idea? I guess. Like, I mean, what else does he have to lose at this point? I mean, EDP. Like, what else does he have to lose? He's like a known pariah. Let's see. Also, that kind of reminds me. There was like a picture sometime back. Maybe this was it. There was a picture sometime back. I think Keemstar tweeted out. Maybe that it was years back too. Maybe it was like this documentary's been in the pipeline for that long. But there was a picture of Boogie and EDP eating at a table with like a table full of McDonald's or something. Keemstar tweeted out. I'm like, what is this? And it just nothing ever came of it. I was like, okay, I guess everyone forgot about it. But I guess was it the Mike Klum documentary? Maybe. I don't know. I have to see. But now that was mentioned, I was like, oh yeah, that's right. There was an interaction with Boogie and EDP some time back. Let's see. But I guess maybe. I mean, what else does he have to lose at this point? Everyone knows who he is, what he did, and everything, and so he might as well give it a try. But of all the documentaries that come out next, I was not thinking it would be EDP. I did. I was not even thinking that anyone would do a documentary on that guy. Let's see. Gunblade Knight says, morning LD and Bezchat, praise be to Space King. TK Ultra says, but I don't want to be a chud. Ew. Let's see. Let's see here. Gregory 90. Good morning, Literary Devil and Best Chat. I believe their version of representation fails because it's forced and unnatural. It is. It's just like, it's not, hey, this really good actor will be perfect for this role, but he's a different race. But let's cast him anyway. Their reaction is, we have plenty of suitable actors for this role, but we need a black guy. We need an Asian guy. They're going by category. And for some reason, just because they think about it positively, they think it's not racist. It's like, oh wait, we need a black guy in here. Get a black actor, any black actor. Get an Asian actor in here. Get a Latino in here. That's how they think. It's unnatural and weird. It's just you're cast by category, not by merit, and it can be seen by people who already know actual representation. Yeah. Loom Fence's praise be to LD. Best shot, of course, Space King. Today's racist jokes made possible by a kind donation from the Southern Poverty Law Center and viewers like you. If only. I mean, send that check over here, Southern Poverty Law Center. Let's see. Kara the Token Nerd says, hi all. Hope you're well. Not doing too much, just working away at some fanfic today. Very cool, very cool. ASIC says, good morning, everyone. Good morning, good morning, good morning. Elizabeth says, what will today's stream bring us? And we'll see. Shadow Dancer says, good morning, all. Vanilla chai tea for me again. Very, very cool, very cool. That sounds pretty good. Vanilla chai. Let's see. Such a says, good morning, LD and Best Shot. Hope everyone is doing well, having a blessed morning, doing pretty good indeed. Mr. Self-Destruction says, LD, hello to you, Mr. Self-Destruction. Good morning, good morning, good morning. And this as well says, onward my morning walk, fantastic. We'll chime in when able. Sounds good to me, Nathaniel Zozaball. Nathaniel Niesha from Rumble says, good morning, LD. Just delivered a load from Idaho to Georgia. Wow, that's pretty good this morning. Can't wait to hear about today's topics. We'll get into it pretty soon. Megalathon. Good morning, LD and Best Chat. Hope everyone has a great day. Me, well, I'm scrubbing washroom today. At the cleaner has a nice smell. That's pretty good. Well, that's delightful. Good luck to you, Megalathon, and well done. Let's see. Drink to be God says, sup, everyone. Haven't anyone heard of mortgage insurance? No. Cardiac says, good morning, Lit Dev in the Rumble Chat. Here for a hopeful Tomboy Tuesday. Representation only works if the representation are actually in agreement. Represented. I think so too. If it makes sense, right? If it makes sense, at least it's feasible. Sometimes it could be better. Like it could be like I don't know. Like it could be that in the original work, some guy was white, but he's from the ghetto, and so they kind of switch it up with like a Latino or something. The physics says, good morning, LD in chat. I promise I'm awake for the stream this time. Also, I love seeing Holly Weird and the game industry suffer the consequences of their massive retardation. You need to see much more. Yeah, it's always good to see. It's always delightful to see, Hollywood and everything. Feel the consequences of their actions. Abragioni, good morning, good morning, good morning. Hello to you. Anime Acumen, thanks to the 41 month support, says technical difficulties, please understand. Absolutely. Mr. says, good morning, LD and Best Chat. Hello to you, hello to you. Lim says, did we talk to LD into reading Morning Glory Milking Farm? I don't think so. I work overnight and fell asleep before the end of stream. I don't think so. I'll let other people do that. Looney Wormwood, for real. Some of the most popular sitcoms from the 70s, 80s, and 90s were about black families. Yeah, I mean, I like some of them. I like The Cosby Show. The Cosby Show, what's it called? Sanford and Son. I watched a little bit of that. What was the other one? The moving on up, like that one. What's that one? I watched that one too. Jeffersons. I watched Jeffersons. I watched all of the family a little bit because there was a segment called Nick at Night, right? It was I used to watch Nickelodeon, was one of the main channels I watched as a kid, and they had a segment at night called Nick at Night, and it would show some of these shows. It was pretty cool. I also showed like I Dream of Jeannie and the Beverly Hillbillies, I Love Lucy. Those were all on there. Gilligan's Island also. So this is kind of how I got access to those old shows, is through Nick at Night. Let's see. White Man, say, have you been paying attention to the new Halo remake? Sort of, only through Mauler, because Mauler's been playing that. I wasn't ever that big of a Halo fan, where I was just going to buy this remake as soon as it came out. I don't really like to buy new games anyway. Like I should have bought like was it 007, a 007 game, because it's made by the company I really like, which makes Hitman, and it's like Hitman. But I didn't. I always wait to the sale, even if it's something I want. I usually wait. Unless it's something I really, really want, then I usually wait to the sale, because I already have a lot of games. So I'll just wait till it's cheaper. And so this on principle. Shadrin says, gestures to Billy D playing Harvey Dent in 89 Batman. Yeah, Billy D. Williams was a cool Harvey Dent in Batman 89. I didn't mind that at all. Not one bit. I like this is pretty cool. They know Calrissian is Harvey Dent. This is awesome. But now I'd look like, now if they did that, I look at it with a side eye, like, all right, we know what you're doing, because it's kind of an indicator about their mindset. Back then, it's like, why did they cast Billy D. Williams as Harvey Dent? Because everyone loves Billy D. Williams. He's cool. Same reason why they cast Samuel Jackson as Nick Fury, because he's cool and everyone likes him. Um, so it's like a now it's like, why did they cast Idris Elba? Oh, because they needed a black guy. That's that's pretty racist. What's it called? There was a book that I read a long time ago called, I think it's called like "Stop Helping Us" or something like that, written by this black author, and he's talking about how like the white liberal will step in trying to help, but they always make things worse. Was it Malcolm X, and was it Malcolm X to like beware the white liberal? Like it's true. It's just proven true every single time, because they always make things worse. They never make things better. As an offense is a well, to be fair, Nick Fury be played by a badass, and it makes sense. Yeah, see, that's exactly it. That's exactly it. Back then in 2012, when they gave us Nick Fury played by a black actor, we weren't like, oh, he's being played by a black actor instead of a white one. Time to rage. We're like, Nick Fury is a badass character, and he's being played by an actor who's known for playing badass characters. So this fits. All right, this is good. I know. I said that. Like I know. I was thinking about that. I was like, oh man, Samuel Jackson's Nick Fury? That's awesome. Nick Fury's a badass. Because I know Nick Fury, actually not from the comics. Remember, I was a DC guy. So I didn't know Nick Fury from the comics. However, I learned about Nick Fury from the Punisher video game. Remember that? Okay, so like I said, like I told you at the same time when I told you I'm a DC guy, I learned about the Marvel Universe through the eyes of the Punisher. Because if there's one thing I liked about Marvel, it was the Punisher. So I watched the Thomas Jane movie. And I went on to, of course, watch the other one with Ray Stevenson, and eventually I also watched the Dolph Lundgren Punisher movie. All pretty cool. I like them all their own same style, their own style. I mean, I really like the Thomas Jane Punisher though. Perfect. And the reason why I mentioned that though is because Thomas Jane also went on to voice the Punisher in the PS2 video game called The Punisher. And that was awesome. That was one of my favorite games. It was so brutal. It was so cool. It was a lot of fun. I played that game over and over and over and over again. It was really good. It was really good. But in that game, you get to meet Black Widow. You get to meet Nick Fury. You get to fight the Russian. It was really cool. You get to even see Iron Man. Iron Man's in there. You have a whole battle at Stark Industries. You don't really run into him. I don't think you fight him, but he is like flying around while there's a battle raging in Stark Industries. It was a really fun game. Really fun game. But yeah, I kind of discovered the Marvel Universe in a big way through the eyes of the Punisher. So I knew about Nick Fury for quite a long time, and he was white when in the game though. He was white in the game, but he was awesome. All right, it was like we run to Nick Fury as he's like trudging through this island of Russian mercenaries, and it was pretty cool. It's like, all right, come on, Castle, let's go, and we're just fighting alongside Nick Fury as we mowed down Russian mercenaries on this island. It was such a cool game. I wish they'd make it for PC. I'd definitely buy it. But yeah, so I knew about Nick Fury and I knew he was white, and they kind of race swapped him for Avengers. I had no qualms about that. I was like, I just in my mind, I was like, Nick Fury is a badass character. And he's being played by a badass actor. And it was great. I was like, this is a good casting. Dr. Azil, hello to you, morning chat. Hello to you, Dr. Azil. Luna Wormwood says they've done it so much that everyone's trigger shy now. Yeah, kind of, yeah. I would say so. Carcatures of the Morning Lit Dev and Best Chat. We are for Tomboy Tuesday. Hollywood hates consequences. This is people they hate. Yeah, exactly. It's like Shad was talking to me about, or the Shadiversity was talking to me about House of the Dragon, which I have not really seen. I've seen them in a few episodes, but never really seen the show. But he's talking about how eventually they have a woman become the queen of the ruler of the realm and stuff. And she's like, oh, he's like talking about how she's actually a terrible ruler and very selfish. She wants to sidestep consequences and things like that. And he's like, wow, they're being historically accurate to how queens were like. And my question was, okay, well, under normal circumstances, traditionally the show would be doing this purposefully. But today, like feminist producers and creative directors would be like, that's a feature. Is this is she's in the right for sidestepping consequences. It's not her fault. It's this man's fault. I kept asking him like, okay, they're making her like a crazy and selfish and kind of like one to sidestep consequences and accountability, and these are supposed to be bad qualities. And I had to ask him like, did the show know this? Because there's been so many instances where they give the main character like horrible qualities, and the story treats it like good aspects or in the like how they're in the right. Like we saw this in I Am Not Starfire, right? I Am Not Starfire. We saw this in Gotham High. This is how they operate. And see, anime Acumen for the $5 super chat. Thank you very very much. Appreciate it.
Yes, 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 yes. Yes.
And see, I don't blame that on Samuel too much. He's just playing the game. It's literally his livelihood. Well, yeah, it's right. I don't blame him at all until it came down to the Captain Marvel, and he's like dunking everyone. It's like I already cashed that check. As he helped destroy Nick Fury, the very character he helped build up. It wasn't a race thing. It was like a badass thing. Like, hey, Nick Fury is supposed to be a badass, and every single time we get a Captain Marvel or a sideshow with Nick Fury in it, they always tear down his character more and more and more. Like in Avengers, he was a complete badass. He was this awesome, the spy master, leader of Shield. He could strong arm even like the higher ups into doing his will, like kneeling down to his will. He was the guy you want in charge. And then Captain Marvel came along. He's like, "Oh, he actually lost his eye to a cat." Tee hee hee. And then later on, like he's not really all that smart because he didn't find out anything. He's been working with the Skrulls, and the Skrulls have been feeding him information this whole time. So he's just not really like a great or even above average agent. He just happens to have Skrulls to feed him information. So every single time they bring back Nick Fury now, it's always to degrade his character. And he doesn't seem to care at all. It's your chat. Palestiana says Black Nick Fury is also technically a different character. I think after 1610 and 616 merged, there was retcon that Black Nick Fury is White Nick Fury's son. Is that real? I mean, okay, doesn't sound plausible under normal circumstances. However, this is a comic book universe, and pretty much anything goes in a comic book universe. It's a Shay Durags. Welcome, Shay Durags. Is a decade ago, a common talking point of the anti-wokes was if Hollywood keeps forcing representation and using it as a shield, people are eventually going to see representation as a sign of bad media. And it came out to be true because we know this. This is basic stuff. I mean, one of the most probably popular experiments ever done was the Pavlov test, right? Was Pavlov? People act the same way. People are the same way. Like the whole thing with the dog, they begin to associate, right? Every single time he rang a bell or sounded a sound, and the dog got to eat, right? And then after a while, the dog started to associate the bell with food. And so when they started hearing the bell or the sound, he would start to salivate because, oh, food is coming. People are the same way. People act very similarly to that. You start to associate things. That's probably the most notable version of this is our sense of smell. So we will smell something, and it's like boom, instant memory. Right, boom. We'll smell something familiar. It's like, oh, I remember. Not only do you remember like where that smell came from, you remember like the first time you smelled it or whatever, or the most significant instance of you smelling this particular smell. So we sort of associate that smell with something else, with that memory, with a certain event or food or whatever it might be. So it's the same thing. And yes, that's exactly what happened after 10 years. This probably wasn't a thing like maybe 5 years ago, maybe even. But after 10 years now of Wokies doing this representation stuff over and over and over again, and then also being terrible at their jobs, then people, even normies, are now probably just instinctively at this point associating this sort of practice with low quality media. And it's because it's been true. It's been true. Carnage says, "Now the Odyssey is trash, normie slop, and no one is overrated, normie hack job." I mean, that is a perspective to have on him. Nolan is has a very distinctive voice and style. So I understand why people might not like him. It makes sense. It makes sense. It's kind of like the whole thing with where I forgot what was it? Was it Joe Quesada? I forgot what it was. But he was talking about his class, and he would have like his students bring a novel, a graphic novel that they hated and a graphic novel they loved. And so sometimes some students would bring a graphic novel they loved and hated from the same author. Sometimes a student would bring a graphic novel they loved, and another student would bring that same graphic novel as the one that they hated. So, I mean, there is a that giant discourse on that front, absolutely. But overall, at the baseline, Nolan does know how to put together a movie, tell a story, things like that. But you might not like the way he does it, or his style, or the way, or his distinctive voice. Is definitely something that is valid in an argument. Okay, I think so. I think very much so. But it's bottom line is the reason why he's very popular, and because he can do a pretty good job. I'm probably but because of his distinctive voice and his way to the way he puts together movies and stories. Um, they're always going to be great masterpieces, but people like that kind of story. Kind of the same thing with Tarantino. Like Tarantino has such a strange and strong, distinctive voice that some people are going to be drawn to him, but at the same time, others will dislike him for it. It's the price you pay for having a strong, distinctive voice, but you still have a strong, distinctive voice. And so people will know, oh, this is Tarantino esque, or this is Nolan esque, right? Frank Miller has a very strong, distinctive voice, and he has the same sort of controversy. So if you have a very strong, distinctive voice, and you're at least pretty good at what you do, it's normal that people will say, I hate this guy or I love this guy. It's normal. That's kind of where the fun of the discourse comes from. Um, but it's part of the benefits of having strong, distinctive voice and being pretty good at what you do is that you're going to get a lot of people who like your work, and Nolan is like that. He's divisive. I don't know why this happened to Zack Snyder. Zack Snyder also has a strong, distinctive voice. And then but thing is, if he has the work written for him already, he can be pretty good at what he does. However, if he's left his own devices, not so good. It's not so good. Um, Very terrible, actually. Especially if he has to do something that requires any sort of reasonable take on morality. Let's say Junebug May Hearts. Hello to you. Hi, Tyler. So this is where I know you from. Hello to Junebug May Hearts. Tai Karai, pretentious devil. Absolutely. I mean, that kind of goes with that question. I'm up, down, down says, do you know what the difference between a villain and a supervillain? Presentation. Exactly. It is true. It's not just a villain and supervillain either. It's master. It's a difference between a master and an intermediate, right? So an intermediate would have like a master level of quality, probably. But like what makes a master is that they can perform that level of quality while also looking stylish and cool too, right? So what really makes a master is presentation, not just the quality. The quality gets you intermediate, but a master where we instinctively click seeing a guy presented himself as a master, like this guy's a master, is that he has a flourishes and flair along with his quality. So that's what makes a master, along with his knowledge, of course. And see. Comic Wiz. Good morning, everyone. Regardless of media of yesteryear focused on giving people quality stories and characters with a dynamic of flat arc, showcasing different demographics, happen organically. Yeah, it was very organic back then. Like no one really cared. Like no one really cared about. We need to have more XYZ here or there. So it's pretty fun. It was pretty good back then. I like to watch a lot of these movies. I mean, today it would be like imagine a movie like Friday coming out today. It would be a nightmare. It would have to have a lot of racial talking points. It would have to have a lot of political discourse and things. When the original Friday really had nothing to do with politics. The original Friday was just I would assume a very low budget but fun film. that happened to have a hero's journey in it. It's a good movie. Friday, the original Friday movie is a really good movie. I recommend at least one watch if you haven't seen it. And it's funny too. It's funny, but it's not like they're trying to say they're turning to the camera every 5 minutes to remind the audience that they're black and that there's oppression or something. It's just really, and at its essence, it's just like a day in the neighborhood, and it gets crazy. It's a crazy day, but at its essence, it's not a. Well, here's the thing how Avery Brooks put it right. So Avery Brooks is the guy that plays Cisco and DS9. One of my favorite captains. Depending on the situation, I have different favorite captains. Like sometimes I like Picard, but if it comes down to the sheer badassness of a captain, Cisco is hands down the best. I mean, you can't really beat a guy who punches out a god and gets him to go away. But Avery Brooks was asked, "What's it like being the first black captain?" And he's like, "Black captain? I'm not the black captain. I'm a captain. I play a captain. All right. I don't wake up. He's like, I don't wake up every day thinking I'm going to do a black male thing. I wake up every day and do stuff. So that's a big difference there, right? That the mentality is, oh, look, he's doing a black male thing. And normal people are like, man, he's just doing something. He's not doing a black male thing. So what Friday is just a day in the neighborhood. All right, there's even Latinos in there, but if it was made today, it would be it's about two black males in a black neighborhood. They would have to emphasize that today, and it would make it so much worse. It would make it so much worse. It's a I can remember how much of the cringe of Black Panther when it was coming out. It was the white liberal people types, I guess. Like they treat minorities like pets. They really do. They were going, oh, look at the black nation or country of Wakanda. They mentioned something like black resources. Like, what are black resources? Look at their black country and their black resources. Like, what are black resources? I remember tweeting that. Like, I was like, what? I was asking, what the hell are black resources? Because they use that terminology specifically. I was like, this is something I don't know about. I go, what are black resources? What exactly specifically is a black resource? It's a apropos a bean mouth style. Yeah, it's just that. Yeah, exactly. Is the bean mouth style like this is necessarily bad? Not really, right? It's not like if I made a cartoon in like the sausage arms bean mouth style, it could still technically be good. But because most of the things that we've seen within that style is just like a touchy-feely slop. It's this brain rot. Not even slop, it's brain rot, usually. Then we associate that style now with brain rot. Because everything with that style has been brain rot so far. But technically speaking, that style in and of itself is not bad. I could use it for great effect if I wanted to, if someone were to utilize it that way. But usually it just means brain rot. Like Ray says, race play. Oh, there's an idea for the bedroom. Exactly. Let's see. Right now. Ural Nukin Foots says the real action is the enemy's reaction. Sal Alinsky rules of radicals, e.g., they want the reaction. That's why they call us reactionaries, I think. It's a noble man. Thanks for the $5 super chat. Thank you very much.
Yes.
Let's see. Avatar started to suck when it stopped being about a kung fu show. Yeah. They want to make about drama and stuff instead. There's some drama in the original show, but it's the core of it had to be the cool, techniques in the fighting. And so be what happens, right? Sometimes you have a show, you have a game or a show, and the first instance is really cool because it's about the action, and then with or core mechanic or something like that, and then they want to get bogged down in some other stuff, and they kind of get lost. The main core, the beating heart of what made the original story so good, gets lost, and it becomes something else entirely. And see now, chat. Dr. E. Ryan the Force says, "Good morning, LD and Best Chat. Sadly, the YouTuber Hot Diggity Demon decided to travel to Switzerland to get herself euthanized, basically assisted suicide, and once again, leftists showed their empathy. What? Why? What happened? Let's see. By mocking him and saying that he is going to hell. What? Who is Hot Diggity Demon? I never heard that guy. But why? What happened? That's crazy. But I do know that they have that. They call it Canadian healthcare. I do know that they started doing that in Canada. I do remember that was a thing not too long ago where they that one girl was convinced to do that. She was like what 20 something. I don't know why. You know, man, thanks to five. If Mike Klum made a nature doc about Boogie, DSP, and Wings of Redemption, would be called March of the Lolcows. Or DSP, like EDP, DSP. Speaking of EDP, I wonder if Keemstar is going to get EDP on Lolcow Live. That would be an episode, I'm pretty sure. That would be one of the episodes to remember, alongside Boogie admitting that he lied about having cancer, and the Boogie getting the tattoo episode, which, it was like a tiny little tattoo on his face, way out of the way, and he's like, oh, I'll just grow the beard, and I'll just get rid of it after a year. Is that where you're really trying to get out of it and stuff? And see. I met Dolph Lundgren. He's very quiet. I mean, he seemed like a very introverted kind of guy. He might have the body of a Greek god and the IQ of a mad scientist, but he seems kind of like an introverted guy, which might be why they didn't give him a lot of lines in Rocky. And see, chat. Let me see. Good God. John DeGrad says the reason why Nick Fury is black in the MCU is because in 2000s Ultimate Comics were outperforming the main 616. Ultimate Fury was black, so they based the early MCU on the Ultimate Comics. I mean, I think the Ultimate Comics were just kind of like a reintroduction of the Marvel Universe for new readers, right? Because they had that whole, it was like the new 52 in DC. I think, right? The Ultimate series was basically a revamp of the entire Marvel Universe without all the baggage, because they knew they want to get more readers coming in, and they knew, and rightfully so, that some readers might be intimidated by decades and 100 years of mythology that they would have to catch up on. That's a lot. It's a lot. So they made so they did a new 52 and call it the Ultimates, I think. And so that kind of would bring them would that allow them new readers to step in, without having to read decades and decades of previous comics. It's a good idea. Let's see. LD's like me. I buy 6 months, 3 years late for 75% discount. Yes. Or off Fanatical, build your own bundle deals. Self-select style Halo, though, I pre-ordered. On the book, see the wriggling on the front. Yeah, if I was a really big Halo fan, which some people are, I probably would have purchased it day one, because I would really get a game that I really liked, even if it's expensive, even if it's day one. But usually I wait. I wait, because not only will I if I wait, not only will I get it cheaper, I'll get it with all the bugs fixed and all the DLC included for cheaper. So it's just way better if you just wait, I think. Anyway, Greg Knight says, let's see. I like Nick Fury in Avengers Earth's Mightiest Heroes, and Spider-Man, he lost his eye, the Winter Soldier in Earth's Mightiest Heroes. No, he didn't. He lost his eye because of a cat scratch. That's what happened. I can't believe they let that happen. I can't believe they let that be canon, that Nick Fury, who said, last time I trusted an ally, I lost an eye. And then really he lost it to a cat scratch, not because of a dire moment, because they want to do a little joke, tee at the end of the movie. It wasn't even because they're in a battle or anything. It was just almost a post-credit scene. Norman Alex 5 says the reveal of how he lost his eye in Captain Marvel was the most retarded sheet ever. It really was. Because up until then, Nick Fury was just an unrepentant badass, and then that happens. Oh, he's an idiot, I guess. Phoenix Picasso, good night. Hello to you. It's night for me. Hello, everyone. Hello to you, Phoenix Picasso. Uh, Ace of Swords, Silas Archer says, "Good morning, LD in chat. The modern deists and everything associated with them are why I got hard into writing like I did. Resentfulness makes good motivation. Yeah, remember those the new warriors or whatever, right? It was the new warriors, right? The new one by that one soy boy. Is you had it was like a trailblazer and the internet gas guy, all that stuff, right? And those designs were so bad. The internet caught fire. And then so many artists on the internet and on Twitter were posting their versions of this team. And they were all 1,000% better than what they were giving us. Of course, that whole series, I think, was a troll or something because it never came out, as far as I know. None says, love that aura of committing war crimes and never getting punished, then leaving to get the milk and never returning. And say, uh, oh, you mean like a? That's right. Cisco did commit some war crimes. Anime Activation 5 says the $5 super chat. Thank you very much. Cisco war crimes, best freaking captain. Yeah, he just casually commits war crimes and gets away with it. I mean, major war crimes like subterfuge. Like he indirectly assassinates an official of the Romulan Empire, I think. And that's what tricks the Empire into joining the side of the Federation in the war. And he's like, well, like he has to confess it all because he feels bad about it. It's like he can live with it though. Let's see, chat. Let's see. All right. Where are we now? This is what says, Nathaniel says the ball says Gravity Falls, the shining example of the bean mouth style actually commenting the story. Yeah, so Gravity Falls is really good. It happens to be that bean mouse style, but it's really good. Let's see. Hello to David Musselman. Good morning, LD and Best Jack. Good morning. Hello to you, Seri Shama. Hello to you. Agile Artworks is there's the whole we use Sam Jackson because he plays great badasses. Yeah, that's kind of why it worked, I think, in a big way. And Isabel says, "Oh God, don't get me started on the New 52." Yeah, it was interesting. The New 52 is where Harley Quinn became like the whore, like this like stripper Harley Quinn. They kind of put her in like those. It took her out of the outfit and they put her in like stripper clothes. Such Falcon says it's the one of those things where people wouldn't it be funny if we did this without thinking past that, and they did it. There's a laugh maybe, and then immediately it's just cringe after that. Yeah, it's just unless it's going to be a huge, gigantic, evergreen comedy thing, then don't do it because then it's going to be canon, and you can't really walk that back after it's canon. Like the whole, oh, his eye was scratched up by a cat thing. You can't go back after that because that's canon now. That's how he lost his eye. The Megathon says, "Oh, Snowflake and Safe Space." Yeah, Snowflake and Safe Space. Oh my gosh, it's a blast from the past. Yeah, Snowflake and Safe Space, and that vampire whose name's like B negative or something. But I'm tired of all these tourists in the Halo community. They're defending the girl boss ODST character by saying it's established lore that ODSTs hate Spartans, but it's literally one guy in the books. Well, yeah, that's kind of what happens. They will, if they need to defend something based on ideology, they'll just go and find one instance or one panel or something. And I'll say, see, it's in the books, fake nerd. And those, not only will they say that this is the whole case, they'll call you like a fake fan and like a tourist and everything. But they'll just take one thing out of context, one panel out of context and saying, "Oh, look, see, it's canon." And out of context, it might seem like it's the case, but it's not. Sometimes it's an unusual circumstance. Sometimes it's like, oh, they're brainwashed, they're being mind controlled. It's another person, it's a clone, it's another universe, like it's another alternate storyline or something. And say, chat. All right, let's get down to business. And let's check this out, chat. So, why does modern representation fail? You might like it. Well, check it out, see what they say. Here we go.
pathetic puppet.
The default, we still look at our core demographics and say, okay, they're white, cis, hetero males. And we
It's like interesting choice to begin your video with pure ear rape, but okay.
cater almost exclusively to that. We've actually done this so long that what we're doing is creating an entire nation of picky babies, and they make us scared to deviate from what we actually want to do. And we cannot continue to try to create art under a system that is going to bar innovation for fear of a picky baby throwing a tantrum. And if they don't like it, we have to start thinking we're not losing, they're losing, and we're losing because we're going to let them stand in the way of our progress and our innovation.
Greetings. This is a topic I wanted to talk about for quite a while. It's something that has bothered me for honestly as long as some early 2010 media releases, both movies and games. I guess this pervasive ideology.
Like that was what a speech, right? What a speech. This is the mentality they have for the customers. Like, you are retarded babies, and we can't continue to make art unless you just eat up anything we give you. Imagine if like Daily Wire did this. Like they went on, like Daily Wire did a campaign, because Daily Wire makes art, right? They make art, sort of. I mean, it is art, but it's not typically good art. But imagine if Daily Wire did this and said, "Well, we can't. Excuse me, we can't. My wife's a doctor, and we can't really continue making art if you don't just eat up whatever we serve you." If we don't just eat up all of our art, all our movies and everything, and give it high reviews and keep watching and give it tons of views, then we can't continue to fight wokeness. Right? That's Imagine they did that. I don't think a lot of people would buy that. I mean, maybe some people would, but it would be just as cringe, just as cringe. Gray Des says, "Hi LD. Not once have my Caucasian brethren said that a certain media IP was made specifically for them." Yeah, that was so weird when that first came out as an argument. This is made for me. These feminist comics are so ass blasted about being lame. Yeah, it's kind of how it goes. Like, what? I know there's genres and everything, but usually if the genre was, oh, do you like action? Do you like romance? Do you like sci-fi? Do you like fantasy? It never was, are you white? Are you black? Are you Latino? That's kind of the big difference here now. With the woke era, it's changed the landscape of media from, do you like sci-fi? Do you like fantasy? Do you like action? Do you like romance? To, are you black? Are you white? Are you male? Are you female? Are you gay? That's one of the big differences. That's one of the big differences. On top of that, what makes things even worse is the mentality behind these pieces of media. Because the mentality is, think of every movie or TV show that is right-wing coded or considered right-wing coded. What is the common factor here? It's, things are great. Being X is fun. If I were to give you a movie where it's about let's just say Batman. Let's use Batman as an example. If I were to give you a movie about Batman, and it's about how Batman is cool, is having fun, and it's like, he's like, the Batman the animated series. Take the Batman the animated series as a really good example. Well, yeah, there's pitfalls and there's upswings. But ultimately speaking, like, when you watch this, it's like this. It's cool being Batman, right? I'm pretty sure that if you were to show like Batman the animated series to an SJW, like, oh, this is right wing coded. Because ever since then, I know this because ever since then they always used Batman the animated series as a standard of quality, of like, they acknowledging that people like it. But they always say we can improve upon it. And the way they improve upon it is just make everything a lot less fun. And, oh yeah, Batman, it sucks being Batman. That's left-wing coded. That's what has become to be left-wing coded. Because when left-wing SJWs kind of make a work, and they make a piece of art, it's always about how much things suck. Like, it's about, oh, it sucks being, you want to watch, James Bond movie. Well, he's a misogynist, right wing, evil guy, imperialist, right? He's a right wing imperialist. You want to watch right wing, misogynist, imperialist James Bond, like when how Matt Damon described him? Then watch the old movies that made him popular. If you want to watch left wing James Bond, watch Blonde Bond. You know, the Daniel Craig movies, and we can see the real James Bond, the way they fix James Bond, and the way they fix James Bond is by making it suck, right? I don't mean just in quality. I mean all the movies from Daniel Craig James Bond is about how much it sucks being a super spy. When the real thing is, right, the real movies that we liked so much about James Bond is how much how awesome it is being a super spy. Right? Even Brock Samson from Venture Brothers loves James Bond. That's how it is. That's how it is. Like the movies that made the evil, misogynistic, imperialist James Bond is all those movies are about how cool it is being a super spy. That's what made him great. And then we get SJW loved Daniel Craig James Bond, which how much it sucks being a super spy. So we go back to Batman. I'm pretty sure if you made a movie about how cool it is being Batman, they would say it's right wing coded. And if we say it were to show you like a movie about how much it sucks being Batman, how much it sucks being here, like The Boys or Watchmen or something, then I'm pretty sure they would say it's left wing coded. Like that would be a pretty funny test to do, right? A pretty funny test. But it's been my observation that this seems to be the case. Keep in mind that this also happens to Sherlock Holmes. In the original Sherlock Holmes stories, Sherlock Holmes, and you might not believe this. It might be hard to believe. Go if you watch BBC's Sherlock and the modern day renditions of Sherlock Holmes. But Sherlock Holmes is not just a misanthrope. He actually is patriotic. All right, so if you go back to the original Arthur Conan Doyle's Sherlock Holmes stories, Sherlock Holmes is a loyal servant of the crown. And anytime, and yeah, he likes taking on jobs and everything. Sure, he likes taking on cases. That's his whole thing. But when it comes down to it, when England is in trouble, he's like, "This one matters. This one matters, John. This one matters, Watson. We got to do right." So, could you see the BBC Sherlock doing that? Can you see BBC Sherlock like getting I don't know, a summons from the Queen, for example? And then him going, oh yes, Your Majesty, yes, Your Majesty, absolutely, right away, Your Majesty. No, they actually do this in the I think the third episode or the second season. I think maybe the second season or something like that. I forgot which one. Whichever one he meets Irene Adler, he gets summoned by the Queen and he's like steals something from them. He's like, oh, this sucks. You know, they're poking fun at the royal family. When actually, you know, that's the big tell, right? So original, what I'm pretty sure they would call right wing Sherlock Holmes is patriotic, and he's not nearly as misanthropic or hostile as he is in the modern day shows. He's actually pretty fun to watch. He's like a nerd. Like if you read the original Sherlock Holmes books, like if you read the original, I mean studying Scarlet original, he is a nerd. He is a high energetic nerd. He's like, so like when Watson first meets him, right? Sherlock Holmes has just discovered some way to grade how blood degrades or something like that. And he's just jumping around all excited and everything. He is a nerd. A high energy, hyper focused nerd. That's what James Bond, that's what Sherlock Holmes is like. He is a patriotic, he's basically like he would be like a chud. He's like patriotic and highly enthusiastic, loves his job. Like he is a fun guy to watch work. And he might be a little standoffish, and I guess some people might call him autistic or whatever, but he is a lot of fun to watch work. And he's not a mean guy. You watch him work, he might be a little bit rude sometimes, but he's usually a gentleman. He's usually pretty, at least personable, but you wouldn't really believe that today if you watch BBC's Sherlock, which is made by left-wing SJWs. So that's kind of that's kind of an interesting observation that I'm working on that I think I've made, and it seems to be pretty well substantiated as far as I've seen, that things that would be considered right wing coded, whether they are political or not, are things that make something seem cool, like being Batman or being a super spy or being Sherlock Holmes, being a super detective, and things that are modern day SJW left wing coded would be considered left wing coded by SJWs. It's about how much things suck. Like, it sucks being Batman, it sucks being James Bond, it sucks being Sherlock Holmes. Like, it's, oh man, this is awful. Everyone just hates me and stuff. Like the BBC Sherlock did. Anyway, David Musselman with the $50 super chat. Thank you very much, David Musselman. Let's see, chat. David Musselman, the great David Musselman, very, very generous. I forgot to update everything. Let me go update everything pretty quickly here now, and then I shall give you the clip you have deserved. Thank you very much, David Musselman. The Worldo says, David Musselman says, LD, have you heard the Clint Eastwood story where he got a script he was interested in, but thought he'd work on it fit what he wants? Spent years working on it until it looked like that. It looked at the original script, decided to make it as is. It's Unforgiven. No, I know about Unforgiven, but I didn't know it was like that. I didn't know it was like he spent years working on it, only to be like, you know what, screw it, let's do the original. That's pretty funny. That is pretty funny. Let's see. That is pretty funny. That's a funny story. But thank you very much, Dave Musselman. Thank you very much. Thank you very, very much. All right, we'll continue the video here, and we'll continue as I continue to update.
She was always present, but as everybody basically already knows, it truly evolved into its current iteration in the last few years. And I would like to discuss why the intended goal of diversity and representation in modern media always seems to backfire, or do the exact opposite of what the creators hope their message will deliver. I have a few examples, both old and new, mostly from the past 10 years though. I would also like to be as neutral and polite as possible, because I believe this ideology is not just ruining media for the quote-unquote normal people, it's just as well ruining the experience for all marginalized groups, and it does so at the expense of these people who are, after all, still human, kind of. And I believe especially members.
Oh my goodness, chat, we did it. Thank you very much, everyone, for your generosity today. Thank you much, David Musselman, for your very big donation. Very much appreciated. We are now at 201 out of 200. So yes, we have reached Pillarman today, technically speaking, and unlocked the extra video. Now every super chat from here on out will go towards tomorrow's goal of getting to 300. So every super chat from here on out will get us a head start for tomorrow. Thank you very much, everyone. Appreciate it.
Of marginalized groups would rather be left alone and in peace, instead of being perpetually lumped into the culture war and piled on or put on pedestals, or inadvertently portrayed badly and thus ridiculed by the modern media they are represented in. So, if you are a member of whatever subculture.
You see, Orange Brand says, Little Karibo apparently is trans now. No! The female pronouns now thanks to his non-binary wife. I saw like a post he did saying that he was seeing a psychiatrist. So non-binary wife and psychiatrist equals being warped into being trans. That checks out. Yeah.
Sure. This video is supposed.
Man, imagine becoming a trans at 43, like a 43-year-old dude. That's someone needs to save him from this circle that he's in. But yeah, I think Little Karibo turned out to be pretty left wing. So I mean that makes sense. These left wing guys tend to be tricked into becoming trans for some reason. I don't know why. But this LD, this is making me think of the nurse with a dead fetus on her head episode from the first episode of South Park. Oh yeah, I remember that.
To be genuine, even though I like to be edgy and I'm opinionated on this topic, and I share very few.
Oh yes. Hold on. There we go. Thank you much, Animate Acumen. I think I almost missed this one. It says, please, Sar, Asha Sharama, please do the needful and do the cutting of fat from all developer teams under Xbox. Then, I think Xbox. I think Xbox should. I think, in fact, every single game development studio should do what Bethesda did and just get rid of all the creepy weirdos. Once we see a bunch of game developers from every company marching in the streets, chanting that they deserve jobs and stuff, then we know that the gaming industry might have a chance. If we see a bunch of crazy, creepy weirdos who used to be game developers for big companies, when really they just look like an Antifa march, go out there, then we should be doing pretty good. That might be pretty hopeful. But thank you very much, Animate Acumen. I'm gonna go ahead and do one of these.
Yes, 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 yes. Yes.
Thank you very much. See, White Man says, so fundamentally leftists hate the human race, so their shit is always, yes, they're always depressing, they're always full of hate. And this is not even my observation. This has been an observation made by previous people, that it's about hate. It's about being angry at everything. If something is going right, and they can't really, they're never happy because they can never appreciate what is right. They're always focused on what's wrong, and everything is always wrong. Nothing is ever good enough. Everything is always wrong. So they're always going to find something to hate about whatever is happening. They could be full on communism, but something is always wrong because they don't have any tangible goals. All right, their goal is to what's it called? The goal is to be better. The goal is to end racism. Well, they're never going to end racism. All right, there's always going to be some level of bigotry in people, but be better is not a tangible goal. You can always be better. So there's never ever going to be a moment where they're going to be satisfied. There's never going to be a moment where they're going to be like, you know what, this is good. We've mission accomplished. There's always going to be some complaints.
Empathetic views on the current zeitgeist and the political division. I want you to not immediately run away from this video. I am truly and honestly trying not to be off-putting, and I will keep the offensive shenanigans to a minimum. I will not insult or demean anyone, and I will approach this as neutral as I am able to, even though, yes, I am obviously not aligned with the viewpoint of the modern left, and I don't like many of the examples I will be talking about. But I would still prefer it if you heard me out first. I think we are all worse off with the current selection of media we are being served. Not just mainstream modern AAA media. Any indie project can just as well become a victim of this pervasive ideology. I think we are all worse off with the current selection of media we are being served. Not just mainstream modern AAA media. Any indie project can just as well become a victim of this pervasive ideological decay if you don't have some sort of grounded approach to representation and diversity, especially if the project lead is the only one person that dictates the flow and direction of a game, a movie, a show, or any other piece of media. Let us first look at a collection of examples that highlight what exactly is going wrong when diversity, equity, and inclusion is taken to an absurd level without any oversight or care for the cohesion, story, world-building logic, and immersion of the final product. In short, how and why does representation fail in modern media and turn instead into demeaning tokenism and hollow virtue signaling? Obviously, there will be spoilers from this point on for every single piece of media that I will be talking about.
How we talk about disability in the media matters. Fair disability coverage means including people with disabilities in all kinds of stories.
Isn't this from Command and Conquer? Is this the Brotherhood? Isn't this the Brotherhood of Nod? I remember this. I like this game. It was from a long time ago, though. It was a long time ago.
Persons with disabilities must appear in everyday coverage, just as journalists should always strive to represent persons of different genders, ages, races, and ethnicities. Media outlets need to have an inclusive editorial plan to expand on and improve upon.
I like how this is being framed as if she's speaking it, and it's like the leftist talking points, but it's being spoken by a news anchor woman who represents the Brotherhood of Nod.
Coverage of issues related to disability. Disability stories exist on every subject. Media professionals need to find these stories and tell them, whilst also incorporating the views and opinions of everyone with disabilities across programming. The media has a major impact on public perception and has an important role in promoting diversity, equity, and inclusion in society.
Example number 1. Hades 2. Character designs, especially Hestia and Hephaestus, as well as ethnically changed characters for no reason, in a game that supposedly reflects old Greek mythology. Obviously, all of this can be explained by the tried and true argument of this world is just inspired by Greek mythology, nothing more. All characters inside are their own separate entity and have nothing to do with the actual gods of the Greek pantheon, nor any other historic characters and myths. I find this
Actually, I don't remember. She was, and the symbol was Brotherhood of Nod from Command and Conquer. I don't know if that speech was, though. I kind of feel like he wrote that speech because it made sense to fit into like the weird propagandist machine, the Brotherhood of Nod. But it's been, I'd say, decades since I played the original Command and Conquer.
Explanations and interpretations a little bit uninspired, as they do not convey a strong belief in your property, and at a certain point you truly have to wonder if you could have just used completely original characters. Why didn't you do so? Well, it's because modernity and progressivism in gaming aims to precisely replace virtues and established characters with their twisted interpretation of the modern ideology. It still comes across as unfathomably weak of an argument and can be used to excuse anything. Non-historic Battlefield World War II games are completely fine then. Modern God of War uses the same excuse. Any franchise accused of changing their character designs and gameplay aspects to fit the modern gaming crowd is using that excuse. And quite frankly, I think it's not earnest, and it's a cop-out to not have to deal with the consistency and the accuracy critique when covering a historic time period in a game. A certain level of abstraction is fine, but let's be honest. Zeus is supposed to be Zeus. Hermes is supposed to be the Hermes, and Athena is the Athena. These are not distinctly original characters. They are supposed to evoke the Greek gods of old ages. But that
Let's see. Hamilton. Hades 1 was pretty fun. I didn't beat it, but I got pretty far, I think. But it was pretty fun. But I did hear about Hades 2 kind of being like they'd made some decisions to avert the male gaze or something. Because conservatives generally tend to trust individuals to be good, make their own decisions. Yeah, I know I do. Progressives, by contrast, don't trust people to make the right decisions and give, which is weird because it's the opposite of both of us, right? That's a thing. And conservatives generally trust people to be good. I know I do. But I also know that capitalism is really good because it helps feed our ambition to be better people. Like to strive for better, for more wealth, to be a better worker or whatever it might be. Now, some people might take that too far because they're greedy. They want to circumvent the system, and that's kind of what happens. And you always have people who are like that. Meanwhile, but it kind of like we assume people are good, but we love a system that assumes our base instincts, including greed, but to make it a positive. So we have a system that kind of boosts quality and loyalty and hard work, but also greed. And we kind of trust that both the good and the bad are kind of rewarded by the system, hopefully for good. Meanwhile, progressives tend to distrust everyone and see everyone as bad because they think that every progressive thinks they are the smartest person in the room, that they themselves are the most enlightened. And you can see this in the way they talk, the way they act, and the media they create. They say that they are the most enlightened in the room on all fronts, and therefore you must listen to them, even against their other friends. I'm pretty sure every progressive thinks they are the most enlightened and most intelligent of their friend group. Pretty sure that's the case. And they always kind of talk about empathy and being good to their neighbors and everything, and being accepting and inclusive. Meanwhile, they just assume everyone is evil. They just think everyone else outside of themselves is evil. That's how they operate. Yet they want communism. Yet they want socialism, which essentially gives all the power to a select few in the government. So everyone is evil and stupid and unenlightened, except for the people in the government. It's kind of interesting how that works, but I guess it does, because I do know that a lot of conservatives do trust people to be good people. And they do. They have a lot of faith in people, as far as I know.
That is just a minor point of gripe for Hades 2. The more interesting aspects are two distinct character designs I would like to highlight. It is very important to note that these do not detract from the fun and enjoyment of the game. At least for me they don't, but their visual appearance certainly invokes negative impressions for me, especially Hephaestus. But Hestia first. The problem I have with her design isn't just that she is a very stereotypical, overweight, incredibly weird and ugly looking black woman. It is
What is this? Is this Hestia? What the hell is this? This is like Ursula from The Little Mermaid?
also that they decided to give her vertigo. This to me is such a generic, virtue-signaling cope token combination of visual traits, at least.
And there's two kind of like far left progressive SJWs things they like to include, and it's kind of a small thing, but it's a symbol that this whatever it is heavily SJW. And that is inclusion of vertigo and wheelchairs. I don't know what the hell, but these are things they really like to push into everything. Vertigo and wheelchairs. But I'd rather them give them all like what Uncle Ruckus has. I got the opposite of vertigo. It makes my skin darker.
They didn't make her a sassy queen to boot. But this specific character design in black characters appears in so many different types of media over and over and over again. And especially in specific video games that fall into the extreme woke spectrum. And make no mistake, Hades 2 is woke. For all the good qualities of the game, it is undoubtedly still woke. I feel this depiction of
I got vitiligo, the opposite of what Michael Jackson's got. It makes my skin darker.
Hestia is a disrespectful act towards people who have these visual markers, and the fact that such a character trope appears in an indie project should make you think a little bit. This means very likely there was no soulless executive from an ESG investor or a publisher present that mandated token generic black person representation. No. Someone in the development studio thought this was genuinely a good idea to make one of the most generic representations of black skin color in a game. At least you could argue her being a representation of fire might mean that this could be ash, or how coals turn white when they burn. But I doubt that this is the visual motif the developers were fully committed to. They got the fire theme down for this character, and then on top of her already tokenish...
Like, why is she wearing like a furnace on her head? I know she's the goddess of the hearth, but do you have to wear one on your head?
appearance, they decided to give her the vertigo treatment on top of...
It just reminds me of Peter Griffin, where it's like, he's in that book club, and everyone's talking about the book that they're reading, and Peter's like, here's something. The book can also be used as a hat.
it all. It's just such a predictable...
A hearth could also be used as a hat.
generic design, especially for a person of color. Is there nothing more interesting you could have done with the thematic elements of Hestia? Is this really everything you had? Then we have Hephaestus, and he pisses me off even more. First we...
Oh man, I did not know it was this bad. I heard that they kind of had like one character be burned up or whatever. It's like, okay, well, it's always the women. They have to make all the women look ugly. But I didn't know it was this bad. All right, we'll see what they did to Hephaestus.
Need to talk about the real counterpart from the Greek myths, as there are conflicting reports as to how and how severely and why he got disfigured. Firstly, in the stories where he is born from Hera alone, he was born deformed because she conceived him without a father. 2. In some stories where he was the son of Zeus and Hera, he was beaten into disfigurement by either Zeus or Hera or both for not being the son they wanted. Or 3rd, Ares deformed him after Hephaestus discovered Aphrodite's affair with Ares. And 4th, he was deformed in the sense that he was not perfect like the god's usual depiction. He was not brimming with muscles, tall, athletic, handsome, and perfect. In some ancient depictions, he is visually shown with a clubfoot, for example. So in any way or shape, yes, he is canonically disfigured or lame or disabled, either on one foot or totally unable to walk. Sometimes depicted in a golden chariot, what could have been an ancient version of a wheelchair, although there are no true historic accounts of that being what the depiction was supposed to visually represent. It is also important to note that Greek gods have physical disguises in the human world and their true perfect form. Hephaestus being depicted as lame is more symbolic of his impure nature due to his birth, more than an actual physical disability. Now that is all good and well, but in the universe of Hades 2, we have literal magic, reality-defying time manipulation, and a sort of technology which even in Hades 1, there were weapons you could consider guns. And Hephaestus himself was building these weapons, these automatons, and other inventions that, quite frankly, surpass anything ever depicted in Greek mythology. Yes, you could even critique the ancient Greek myth at this point here and argue why the hell can't an actual god circumvent a physical disability? That seems to be a weird limitation for a god, but keep in mind, these were supposed to be mythical stories. They were supposed to teach something about the world, and they were written in certain ancient times by certain people. At most, however, Hephaestus has been depicted sitting or walking with a limb and a clubfoot, not really fully disabled. In Hades 2, though, there also just basically exists automatons and robots. There are what seems to be floating devices. Most enemies and bosses seem to float too, therefore not needing legs. There is an extreme level of magical manipulation in this world, especially accessible by the gods. And again, there is literal science fiction technology in the game. So why the hell does Hephaestus have a prosthetic?
Okay. I did not know. When I said that, they're obsessed with vitiligo and wheelchairs, I did not know. And they gave Hephaestus a wheelchair and made him like incredibly gay looking. He looks so like he's just he looks like he looks more like a queen than Hestia does. Look at this. But I did not know that. I just said that I know for a fact that SJWs love vitiligo and wheelchairs. And of course, he shows me that they love that Hades 2 has one goddess with vitiligo and a god with a wheelchair. Okay, then.
Limb, but he still sits in a wheelchair. Not just was the original Hephaestus from mythology never depicted like that, but in the world of Hades, he could make one of the floating robot devices to move around hell.
As a glad producer, the 5. I mean, Hades 1 continued the Achilles is gay myth, even though the new information says otherwise. So of course, Hades 2 was going to be woke. I mean, Achilles being gay was like it's like the same. It's been around, I think, a long time. The same time that everyone's saying that the Greeks had homosexual relationships, which I took as fact for a while, but then I started doubting it once I knew that wokies invade the history segments. Like they made a conscious effort to invade academia as history professors and everything, to rewrite history. So I don't even know if that's true anymore. I don't know if the Greek men, the Greek warriors, were like practiced homosexuality at all anymore. That could have been a myth that they made up. Like the whole thing, we're like, oh yeah, we found out that there are trans Vikings. No, there weren't any trans Vikings. That's crazy. A woman might have been buried with her husband's sword, but he's not a trans Viking. That's weird.
He could build himself bionic legs and walk normally. And in any case, he's a god. He could just not walk at all and float like some of the entities in-game can already do. He is a god after all. Why is he confined to specifically an ancient, non-autonomous, static, wheelchair-looking wheelchair with a prosthetic leg? What, is that leg non-functional? Are you telling me the master craftsman of weapons and tech, the master smith, can't build himself a better prosthetic leg? Or hell, a better wheelchair? Is he just lazy? There are disembodied sentient limbs in the game. Why doesn't he graft any of these onto his legs and controls them? See how
what is it about SJWs that love and their love for Greek mythology? What is that? Because we also have the feminist version of the Odyssey. We have like Persephone and Hades, that SJW version of their story. We have Hades. Like, what is it with SJWs and their love of Greek mythology? It's very weird. They always, of course, they're not happy with normal Greek mythology. They have to rewrite it to become soy. But what is it with Greek mythology specifically they love so much?
Virtue signaling like this, at any cost, destroys the feeling and cohesion of a usually well-crafted world. It looks so stupid, and it immediately takes you out of the immersion, and it's honestly kind of just funny and a little bit sad for Hephaestus and Hades too. Similar depictions of stereotypical black people and needless wheelchair additions exists in games like Dustborn, for example, with Psy, a character that has vertigo again, and in addition to all the other token status hallmarks, is profoundly unlikable as a character, written to be exactly this way. You truly have to wonder how far removed from reality these people who created and wrote her needed to be to make her this off-putting on purpose. In Rainbow Six Siege, we have Skopos, another ridiculous character in a wheelchair. The funny reality about this specific example is that this operator uses two bipedal walkers as proxies in battle. So you are telling me that in the Rainbow Six universe, there exists technology for walking robots that can wield guns and act similar to human operators, but we do not have the technology to upgrade Skopos herself with bionic legs, so she is not bound to a wheelchair, which is a huge disadvantage in a scenario of Rainbow Six. But from what I heard though, the lore of this game seems to be profoundly broken anyway, so adding a token wheelchair-bound character wasn't too surprising. You can already see by the few examples I gave that consistent lore and immersion absolutely has no impact on these decisions. It is purely either there to virtue signal, or for whatever ideologically captured reason, it is mandated by soulless corporations to bend the knee for ESG funding.
What does respectful LGBT plus representation look like? Is this
Here we go.
portrayal
Buckle up.
accurate? It's a portrayal that avoids stereotypes and makes sure that the character isn't defined by their sexuality or gender. Making sure that characters are not inherently bad because of their sexuality or gender. Making sure that your narrative is sympathetic to these characters. How is the narrative treating this character? What's the message the narrative is giving to the player about this character and their identity? Having other characters
You could just hear, you could just feel. If you're a guy, you could probably just feel the testosterone leaving your body and your balls shriveling into raisins just listening to this. Like, no wonder. Just for a few seconds. No wonder little Karibo went trans. Imagine living with this person. Carlos Batista, thanks for the $5 super chat. It's like, hold on. It's like, you know how the succubus of yesteryear was, they would essentially just suck the essence, we'll say, out of a man. Well, today's succubi not only suck the essence out of a man, they suck all the testosterone out of him as well. Insane. And it was mostly the Spartans that were gay, and even then, not a lot of them were gay. There are records of the Athenians making fun of the Spartans. It's like, I think it was like the whole thing was it was supposed to be everywhere, but I think it's not so cut and dry as that. And it was more about if it was just the Spartans, it makes kind of sense because the whole reasoning behind the intimate bro relationship is that you would fight, better for your lover than your bro. That was kind of the idea. Alchemic 80s. It's the $10 super chat. Thank you very much, Alchemic 80s. Once again, another generous donation. Let me get the clip here. Alchemic 80s says, the gay Greeks was debunked years ago when they study of found that to be almost entirely made up. So my doubting was correct then. The 600 Prizes of Art claimed that to depict homosexuality, only 26 actually did. So I had good reason to doubt. My doubting was successful and reasonable and correct then. So there came a time when I learned that a bunch of wokey professors went into academia to rewrite history. And I was like, at that point, I was like, okay, then let me take the woke agenda and see and doubt all of those talking points of history that are being made. So gay Greeks, maybe not. I don't think so. I started to doubt all of that stuff. And apparently, it was debunked. Let's see. In Palestiana, that's your additional $10 $1 super chat. Thank you very much. I can see the appeal of vitiligo from a character design perspective, but a lot of its inclusion is pretty shallow. Apparently, vitiligo can also come with hearing problems. I think so. But it's just for styles. It's like they want to be different. I don't know what the obsession is with vitiligo specifically, and wheelchairs. Like those are the two big ones they like a lot. Wheelchairs and vitiligo, and yeah, they're both in Hades too, apparently. Kygo's House says, LD, the famous line, everything I know is a lie. This keeps being true when thinking about how the Wokies invaded the history books. Yeah, because they did. They went to academia to rewrite history, literally.
Reveal a character's identity can be, it's just something that you want to avoid both in games and real life, making sure that you had the consent of that individual, that their identity can be openly talked about or shown. And just the best way to do that is to make sure the character is the one telling the player who they are and what their identity is. Making sure that LGBT plus identity is never the butt of a joke. You can have these characters be funny. You can have...
So LGBTQ, you mean the gay dude can never be the butt of the joke? Come on. That's like their main thing. The butts are their main thing, right?
These characters make jokes. But not in a stereotypical, harmful way.
Seeing Tash in slow motion like this is very creepy. This is slow motion face.
Harmful way. If somebody has a headcanon that a character identifies a certain way, or two characters have a certain kind of relationship, making sure that you respect that, because that is how that player is deciding to consume your content so that they are represented.
So, I'm non-binary. What does that mean?
Example number 2, Tash from the Veil Guard. Tash is here to mostly highlight the in-your-face preaching that characters of this type of virtue signaling usually evoke. It is not subtle, it is not ingeniously written or integrated well into a scenario. You never find out about it yourself in the story or learn in earnest from the character. No, it's always this screaming, preaching, sledgehammer through the wall approach to these topics that makes them so off-putting. These characters only resonate with other human beings that are already social and political activists. It only resonates within a pre-established echo chamber, and it does not capture the interest or empathy of normal people. That is just the result of yelling racist, sexist, homophobic at people. Nobody cares about top surgery scars in the character creator. Only the people whose minds are already engrossed and captured by the progressive cult. Nobody else cares.
I think it's just a fetish. Everything they kind of proclaim to crusade, I think it's just a fetish. They just have a trans fetish. They have a weird male female thing where the woman with dick fetish. That's kind of what I think. That's what the main fetish is. Woman with dick. I think it's all fetish. Wheelchair, vitiligo. I think it's all a sexual fetish because all of these SJWs are severely porn brained.
Asked for this. In any case, to most generic human beings, it might come across as rather off-putting and strange at the best of times, especially when it is in a game where it is not time period appropriate that these modern political virtue signaling attempts would exist. It usually ends up in the writers having to change established lore or explaining everything away with magic or some other similarly ridiculous non-argument. If anything is justifiable in lore through just quote-unquote magic, why not just summon a modern tank or a nuclear strike to the battlefield in your medieval high fantasy action role-playing game? I mean, it's magic, why not? Not to mention, Tash is once again purposefully written to be annoying, brutish, boorish, and generally stupid. And she was beaten with the ugly stick too, although a lot of it is due to how her race is depicted in Veilguard. Either way, she is not very pretty, she is not very pleasant, but at least you could have written her to be more of a pleasing character personality. But again, the goal was for the writers to speak through the character, not let the characters speak for themselves and maybe establish themselves fully as an individual before dropping identity statements. You can write characters like that, and it can work out. Indeed, it could end up being a shockingly good type of subtle representation, but subtlety is lost on the politically captured cult. And if you have writers whose only calling card in life is to inject their own political messaging into media they create to feel good about themselves and to get praised, then you will never end up with a good, positive, or endearing character archetype. The approach itself to the character writing is corrupted, and corrupted art never is endearing or resonates. Only if your mind is already corrupted as well to perceive reality on the same wavelength as the writers or artists already do themselves. And finally, it is very, and I'm honest here, it is very hard to make non-binary characters understandable, appealing, empathetic, especially if nothing about them is explained, laid out, expressed, and explored in an earnest way. Just blurting out, "I'm non-binary," at best causes mild confusion in those.
That's not even the thing that works, that ties into the whole culture of the Kunari. Also, why is the Kunari like this? Why does her mom look like some like middle class mom from America? Like, if you go back and look at that scene, right? Like, the scene is very weird because it's like someone's college age 20-something-year-old daughter saying, "I'm non-binary now," to her like middle class mom, who's like really rich and like just always judgmental and everything. 'Cause that's what they hate about their moms. They're always judgmental. Let's see.
By their sexuality or gender. It's just something that you want to avoid both in games.
So, I'm non-binary.
It's like the mom is like this like middle class, I don't know, some little middle class Karen from California, talking to her like college age daughter. She's like 20 something. She comes home with she went to college a straight, normal, well-meaning, well-adjusted girl, and has come home from college with a girlfriend and nose piercings, right? And so why does it feel like this? This is not Kunari. This is not the Kunari we got in 1 and 2 and even 3 kind of are like brutish, like orc-like people, and they're really like really interesting culture-wise because their whole culture is tied into gender of what their job is. Like Sten turned out to be a Sten. He's a male, so therefore he is a Sten. He is a fighter. That's why if you play a female warden in Dragon Age Origins, he's like, you confuse me. You're like, why? Because you're a woman, yet you fight. And it's like only women fight. Like, because you fight, you have to be a male. That's why it's so confused. Because like you're a woman, but you fight, which means you have to be a male. That's what his whole complaint was. So that's what the Kunari are like. Like, women do not fight. Women do not fight. If you fight, you're just a man. That's why they kind of co-opted that and try to twist it into, well, she's a woman who fights, therefore she's non-binary. No, even under that circumstance, you would just be a man now. There is no non-binary. They made that crap up. They don't really have that, as far as I can remember. And I played Origins and 2, and I like 2 as well, even though it was a little bit different. But you got a lot more interaction with the Kunari in 2. And it was very, you got to learn about how they treat like they have mages in the Kunari faction, and they treat them like slaves because they don't really trust guys with magic. They're more brutal than the humans are. But yeah, yes, the roles of the Kunari are tied to gender, but it's not like you're just non-binary. No, you're a man. You'd be a man taking on a man's role. So they just force this whole thing. Like, what the hell are you doing? Why is your mom a middle class Karen from California? Why? This is not how the Kunari operate. But they did it because they have no idea. I'm pretty sure there's no one there that understands what they were originally trying to do with Dragon Age Origins and the setting and the race. Pretty sure. And so they just kind of co-opted for their ideology. Because they saw that, the Kunari has gender-based positions and jobs. Well, then we'll just turn this into non-binary trans talk stuff. And that's exactly what they did. It's exactly what they did. It's so weird. It's so weird the way it's just. This is not a Kunari conversation. This is someone's personal mom. I came home from college with a nose ring and a girlfriend. And I'm lesbian now. Or I'm non-binary now, and this is someone's like personal event. This is not a Kunari conversation. Anyway,
what does that mean?
Self-insert. Why is that the case? Well, a non-binary is excessively hard to realize in a story because even in reality, most people do not fully understand or accept this.
Attachment was a blatant woke writer self-insert. Blatant. So it was one for one on the nose. Megalodon, what? The left have no subtlety? Well, no wonder that rogue spec sucks right now. Thanks, Blizzard.
Mindset or identity, me personally included. I'm still highly skeptical and honestly confused about it most of the time, even though I try to understand it. It just comes across as incredibly privileged, a childish attitude rather than anything akin to gender confusion, dysmorphia, or other phenomena that are at least easier to explain and to rationalize. So when tackling such a highly controversial and quite frankly awfully explored topic, you have to be an excellent, outstanding writer to capitalize on it. And let's be honest, most of the modern writers for these intellectual properties are anything but talented, unfortunately. And additionally, I also don't like the butchering of the English language to fit a specific identitarian movement. They is not a singular descriptor. It is used for a multitude, which also usually, I think, leads to these false assumptions about non-binary people being mentally disturbed or having multiple personality disorder. So I think the pronouns being they, it doesn't really help at all in this situation, in my opinion. And also, to get back on track, Tasha's voice acting isn't really all too inspiring either. Almost like the actress too didn't really care about the character she was portraying.
Why does representation matter? It matters because
here we go. We're diving into Jax this time. Ben Parker says the talk of the Kunari and roles defended by gender had the song from Mulan, Be a Man, running in my head. Yeah, it's kind of like that. Like you are a you fight, therefore you have to be a man. Like women do not fight. That is the Kunari way. And yeah, it's kind of like be a man because you're not allowed to fight as a woman. And that's the whole thing about Mulan. You're not allowed to fight. In fact, you're so barred from fighting that if you did try to fight as a woman, you would be executed. It's kind of the whole thing.
Imagine you've never heard of a trans person in either a positive or negative way, and you see a show that has a trans character, and they are well written and respected by the writers of that show. You'll probably come away from that with a positive connection to the word trans. It matters because when a trans person gets to see themselves represented in media, when anyone gets to see themselves represented in media, it can make them feel validated and supported. It matters because there might be someone out there who...
Yeah, but the thing is, the media isn't supposed to make you feel validated. That's dumb. The media is supposed to inspire you. That's why we had so much stuff about heroes. That's why the main story is the hero's journey. The hero is not supposed to make you feel validated. The hero is supposed to make you feel like you need to aspire to become something better than you are, to build yourself up, to get stronger, to better yourself in some way, not feel validated. That's just dumb.
doesn't yet know that they're trans.
To quote a line from Daniel Craig in Glass Onion, it's just dumb.
I really doubt that you would intentionally write a harmful stereotype into your story, but you might do it accidentally just because they've been in media you watched or read or absorbed in any way, shape, or form. So when writing a trans character or any character from a marginalized community, be careful not to accidentally lean into any harmful tropes and stereotypes.
3. Jax from the amazing Digital Circus. Jax has been announced as canonically being trans, posthumously after the show has ended. Not only is that pulling a literal J.K. Rowling on a character, J.K. Rowling being a person this side of politics actively despises, it is also a sign of poor writing, or at least a show of indecision to fully commit on the story. Of course, with the creator of the show being trans themselves, it does end up making sense from a meta perspective. Also, there are other characters in the show that have identity issues and are not happy with their body and appearance, so the trans-coded influence was inherent to the show from the very beginning. But doing a post-ending confirmation feels hollow, cheap, and quite honestly just a lame cop-out. And honestly, it makes me think the project wasn't fully realized and written to its full conclusion. Maybe more episodes would have been in order. Maybe don't have a single mind, write and direct everything. There's a reason you sometimes need a voice on your shoulder to direct and equal out your writing decisions every now and then. Not that I would ever condone executive studio meddling, but consulting maybe other writers, not putting all of the weight of the entire show solely on one person's shoulders to write the entire thing might have been an idea worth considering. Now that's besides the point of what the implication of Jax being trans brings to the table. As you might know, the character is not quite endearing or empathetic. Quite honestly, I think he is at least some sort of secondary antagonist most of the time, and it gets very difficult to feel sorry for the guy if you realize how he went about dealing with issues and what he thinks and sometimes does to the other members of the circus who are just as stuck in there as he is. It's a very selfish, unlikable, honestly outright negative and sometimes straight up evil character archetype, all the while being represented as this tortured soul and slowly but surely being developed into the primary protagonist until the final episode is basically mostly about him. And after all that negative impression, after the show is over and done with, Jax turns out to be trans. Thus, a representation of the trans community. Or at least that is how it works, right? Isn't that what people want in media when they ask for representation? Well, I guess in this case, be careful what you wish for. A very unlikable, outright villainous, selfish character not only takes over the actual protagonist of the show, but you're also supposed to feel bad for the guy at the end, and he's also trans on top of all of this. And to make it even worse, Jax most...
Maybe. All right. You can definitely say that, oh yeah, the trans. But the trans character. But that's not really in the show. It's outside of the show. They had to go looking for it. It's not actually in the show. It's assumed by valid people, but it's not actually in the show. Right? Because what is in the show is that Jax once blushed when he was in a room with a naked girl that he had a crush on. Therefore, he must be a girl too.
Definitely is the self-insert for Gooseworks, the creator of the show. This is all but confirmed. So the creators self-inserted themselves into this character archetype, identifying with this character to the point where they made him posthumously trans to, I don't even know, appease someone, feel good about themselves, or to just get it over with. Whatever the reason might have been, it is not reflecting well back onto Gooseworks themselves, nor is it a flattering representation of the trans community. I get it. It's just one character, and maybe the trans community doesn't even claim Jax to be one of their own. But again, this is how representation supposedly works in the eyes of the politically captured activists. This is how you get your message out, how you become part of the greater media landscape. You insert character tropes. Only though, if a representation ends up inadvertently casting a very negative light on your subculture or your social group, only then, all of a sudden, are you not claiming it anymore. I don't know. I'm afraid this is not how this works out. It's either or. Either none of it is representative of the greater overarching identity group, or it is. And taking all of the creators' weird quirks and quite frankly strange kinks into mind, it looks worse and worse and worse the more you look into it. And in the end, what did it even bring you? There's more division, more anger, more critique, and more people unhappy with the ending of the show and getting lumped in with a character like Jax. Truthfully, I believe a trans person would likely not enjoy being represented by this specific character, or at least I think so. Usually being represented through a wholly negative depiction of your identity, that's probably not something that should fill you with pride unless you yourself are a bad person. In the same vein, but to a lesser extent, is the situation with Hell of a Boss and Husband Hotel. A serious, or two serious, I actually tolerate to a certain extent. Before we knew what heaven looked like, it was a tad bit silly that hell seemed to be filled with literally just gay, trans, and neurodiverse people. Which, yes?
Alexander says, when anime does it, the outside information is this usually it's a hobby or favorite food they eat, etc. Yeah. I'm watching an anime called like Skeleton Warrior or something like that, and that's kind of what happens a little bit. He just likes to eat this delicious food, and he's just trying to be a good person, and he kind of makes friends with an elf, and the elves just kind of distrust humanity because I mean humanity keeps coming in and stealing all of their kids and selling them into slavery. So it kind of makes sense, but she kind of explains that the culture and everything, and the extra stuff is not about being trans or non-binary. It's about, hey, here's how our names develop.
That might be biblically accurate, but the impression this could give to some individuals is likely not what the creator of the show intended. And it is exactly this effect I'm talking about when I mention identity capture and empty virtue signaling. You're not aware of what message you might end up sending if all you aim for is to deliver some sort of political message, to scream into the void, to quote unquote stand up against oppression. You might end up demeaning and ridiculing the very same people you are trying to stand up for in the first place, identifying them with literal demons from hell. The self-insert epidemic is a problem in general, with Mary Jane being another popular example, although we have no official confirmation that this is a self-insert, but still. Look at the writer, look at Mary Jane, look at the character designs. It's awfully convenient. In this case, it seems to be specifically a prevailing issue with primarily female writers, but let's not be too sexist here. I've seen plenty of male writers self-inserting them into horribly written woke caricatures of themselves without...
Yeah, it definitely happens with men too. Absolutely. Except when men do it, they get criticized. I think it's okay to criticize the guys who do it. However, it's just that the difference is when women do it, it's wrong to criticize them. I think that's kind of what it is. And because you can't really criticize these women who do it, they don't have to grow. They're just kind of rubber stamped. Everything they do is kind of rubber stamped without much change. I think that's kind of what the big deal is.
Really noticing what that does to them and the characters that they wrote. Relationships seem to be another issue that is negatively affected by token writing and identity captured art.
And see, Megathon says, Skeleton Warrior Another World. I love that anime is season 2 out. Been listening to the audiobook of volume 1. Yeah, I wanted to step into another anime so I can have something else to talk about besides Yu-Gi-Oh! 5Ds. And actually, that was a pretty good one. It felt very generic, and I guess it kind of is. But the thing is, it's pretty good, actually. It's pretty good. Dave Bowie says, Lady Midnight is clearly LD self-insert. No, not Lady Midnight. Dark Hood is more likely, which is another character in there.
There can't just be two good friends anymore. Everything has this sexualization undertone and this safe horniness to it. Same with the safe edginess that annoys me to no end. Humor suffers from these writing tropes in the same way. It's also generic, safe, round, and non-specific. Nothing really stands out. I get it. Gooning is a popular thing now that we all have less restricted lives and we have the first world privilege of free expression. But sometimes, just sometimes, I think we can tone it down a bit. Not every story between two close male friends is some sort of gay romance. It is asinine seeing people still declare to this day that Sam and Frodo were secretly gay. No, they were not. Do you honestly think a highly religious guy like Tolkien would ever even underhandedly write something like that? They are close friends. Something, I guess, this generation of writers...
Well, their other claim is that Tolkien was secretly a woke pagan who wanted to secretly push the gay agenda all the way back then, but you could only get published, if you are a Catholic or something like that. That's the story they're trying to spin. So you only pretended to be conservative. You only pretended to be a devout religious man so that he could get published, and then try to push the gay agenda because he was secretly woke. Let's see. Anime Acumen, this edition of $5 super chat.
Yes.
I'm aware that is not what the song is about, but you know what? Self-delete is not painless. In fact, suicidal empathy is incredibly painful cringe. It really is. It really is. Suicidal empathy is too much. This is kind of why we have to have, like, people in there to say, hey, bring it back. Empathy, the cringiest thing I heard is empathy is a superpower. It's not. It's not a superpower. It's a tool. It's a tool. There's like some other things are tools. All right. Being suspicious, pattern recognition. These are all tools, but some are just some you want to just cut out for some reason. These are all tools. They can all be used to great effects. It can all be used also to negative effect, including empathy.
And theorizers does not experience anymore. Genuine, close friendships without instantly devolving into smut.
I'm Kim Belair. In my circles, I'm largely considered, I think, a relatively nice person.
Like, oh man, smut. Yeah. I love the talking. They're going on stage talking about representation, empathy, and everything. These are all just fancy words, so they can pad the ground before them, pave the road for their smut to be made acceptable. Because they want to read smut out in the open, and they want their smut to go mainstream, but they don't want the judgment that comes from reading smut. They want to read smut without the judgment or the degradation or the embarrassment. They would want to go to a coffee shop and just read blatant monster porn while they sip coffee at their favorite place, because they're all porn brain weirdos too.
We are doing something good. We are writers and designers of tremendous skill and
all of this crap she's talking about. That's all it is. Really, it sounds fancy. It sounds like they're trying to do something great and big and spread awareness or something like that. But really, it's just about how to get their porn into mainstream. They want porn to be everywhere. They want their porn to be made mainstream, and that's it. They want their fetishes to be constantly available everywhere, in every franchise and every IP.
Tremendous experience, and we've never censored anything, nor have we ever wanted to. Frankly, representation is not censorship.
Like, you keep saying that, but you do.
It is innovation. Diversity in narrative makes things more intense. It can make it more visceral and more real. It doesn't have to always make something more wholesome or softer. I really do believe that by opening up...
It doesn't make it more real. It makes it more artificial. Because you're forcing the diversity into play. When you force diversity into things, it makes it artificial.
Up to new perspectives by getting folks in the room.
That's kind of the whole thing about force in general. Is you have to force something, you have to make it a mandate. It's not organic. It's not. It's not more real. It's more artificial. This in general.
We actually push more boundaries and we get more real. They will claim that you are rich, that you are backed by, shadowy cabals, government orbs. They claim you have the ability to force their favorite studios to bend to your whim.
They do. Also, but it's not just that. It's also because all these women are horny and just want their porn to be everywhere. So they get paid to spread their pornography everywhere. And so it's a pretty good gig.
Rather than the truth, which is that studios and teams hire us to...
Let's see. Karnak Ketrel. Actually, the $5. This is the Wokies. I guess the $5 Rumble, I think. A Rumble rant says, Litap. The Wokies can't perceive in anything other than Gooner's sexual lens. They don't. That's why their biggest insult to just any man who poses them is, you are an incel. So they have to warp words and commit mental gymnastics to fit everything into their mindset, which is the Gooner mindset, which is why they kind of go to Gooner every single time they want to insult us, because they are porn brain Gooners. And they always project.
Make stories better. Not woker, but actually better.
No, it's woker. They said every single time you have like a I don't know what it is, but every single time you have like a woke woman writer, they will just spew out a speech that means nothing. And when they want to review something, they spew out a review that means nothing. It's just all empty words that are just packed full of emotion, but very little substance.
Example number 4, the all-gender Dead Space bathrooms. This is
She said nothing. She just kind of said, "Oh yeah, being diverse is better." Why? Where's the proof? She offered no substance, no evidence, no examples, just this opinion. stated as fact. Just emotionally fueled opinion stated as fact.
Or far-fetched esoteric example, but one I wanted to talk about for a long while nonetheless, as this is a prime case study about what empty, hollow virtue signaling does to a serious, well-written, dark and horrible setting such as the Dead Space universe. Now, let's get immersed for a moment. Who built the Ishimura? It was built by the Concordance Extraction Corporation, a company that is largely controlled by their majority stakeholders, the Church of Unitology, to the point where there are regular power struggles between Earth government and Unitology over the control of the corporation, a company that itself is already corrupt. And I quote, CEC apparently has no qualms about partaking in illegal mining operations, and it is noted that the doomed Aegis 7 planet crack, which resulted in the accidental uncovering of marker 3A, was not the first of the company's unlawful activities, and all outcries are swiftly silenced by their deep pockets. The CEC Executive Director of Colonial Mining Operations, Warren Eckert, was also responsible for swapping out much of the crew of the Ishimura with Unitologists just prior to the ship being dispatched to Aegis 7. So, in short, an evil, corrupt company. Who captains the ship and makes up a large part of the crew of the Ishimura? Benjamin Mathias and a large collection of Unitologists. Benjamin as the captain, himself being a church zealot, and we all know what the Church of Unitology is. So in short, the Ishimura was commissioned by a corrupt company, partially in cahoots with a literal cult. Then it was sent on a mission manned with cultists on board. And that cult and company apparently put a lot of effort into having many diverse posters on the wall, as well as making all gender bathrooms. Almost like maybe it makes sense for an evil, corrupt corporation and a cult to try and get already cultish and identity-captured individuals to sign up for this mission and to join in on the Ishimura's crew. Maybe this was directly done on purpose to speak to these people specifically, as both Unitology and the CEC knew that they could likely easily control already mentally compromised individuals to join up with an actual cult. Keep in mind, not all the crew was Unitologists. Some likely signed up out of their own will. And I guess the CEC put those propaganda posters and bathrooms up to attract a specific crowd of individuals. You know, the culture warrior crowd maybe. The exact people cult tactics like this could work on, as they are arguably already in a cult. Interesting how that works out. Now, besides this funny excursion, do you think that this was the intended effect these changes in the remake were supposed to evoke? No, of course not. It was just supposed to be an empty, hollow nod towards identity shenanigans and an act of mindless virtue signaling. But it ends up fitting so well with the established lore. The literal demon-infested ship, full of cultists and built by a corrupt mega corporation, has the sensible diversity-approved posters on the wall and all gender bathrooms. Because of course, a cult and a mega corporation would exactly do these things to attract useful idiots. Also, a corpse hanging in the all-gender bathrooms, that's not very tactful. And that is what happens with your attempts at virtue signaling if you don't integrate them well into your setting or story. Sometimes it might just work out in a hilariously dark and unintended way, just as in Dead Space. But most of the time it falls flat and misses the mark of what the original message was supposed to be. And between all of this and the ongoing stereotyping and tokenizing of primarily black characters, it looks quite grim for modern media, whether it is mainstream or indie. So how do you end up with writers who think that creating a black character without a father figure that has authority issues, is loud and brash, racist towards white people and a destitute, that's a fine character? How do you get to equations that black people are literally just like orcs? How does someone make a statement like that and it genuinely means it, and then also exclaims that they are not the racist person in the room? Well,
I'm Kelly Snyder. I'm a producer at Bungie and one of the co-founding members of the Bungie Diversity Committee and former lead of Xbox Women in Gaming. And we're here today.
All right, chat. Well, we're getting. I mean, we still have a lot. We're mostly done with the video, but I think now we can go over and get to our extra video today. Let me see. And where is it? Okay, is it this? What's actually okay? There we go. Well, I have this which might be pretty interesting. Might be pretty interesting. And that it is a Echo Chamberlain video that just came out. It's called 10 Novels That Explain Why Men Hate Modern Fiction. So let's check it out, chat, and see how it goes. Because there's been like a lot of reports going around that say, oh, yeah, men don't really read anymore. And it's like, okay, well, why would men read? Why would men read? Oh, wait a minute. You know what? I think you might like this better. I think this might be better fitting as a, because it seems like a regular mainstay video that we watch on a normal day, and it kind of is. So what if we save that for next time? And today, for the extra video, since I wanted it to feel like an extra video, we'll go over something I think would be very interesting. This is a character, a person I respect quite a bit. I haven't seen his stuff in a long time, but actually pretty interesting. It's Nick Hodges from History Buffs who went over the Odyssey. Check it out, chat. I think this going over this might feel like an extra video because he's not going to be talking about wokeness or anything like that. It's from a perspective of history. So let's check it out. Let's see.
Viewing historical movies and TV shows, but today I'm going to make an exception. I just got back from Christopher Nolan's The Odyssey, arguably the most talked about movie of 2026. People already divided on it before they'd even seen it. Well, now I have, and I'm going to answer the question everyone's asking. Is this a movie you're going to like? Well, that depends. How much do you care about Greek mythology? Well, more specifically, how much do you care about Homer's Odyssey? Do you expect this movie to follow that story beat for beat? And if it doesn't, how much is that going to bother you? Because if all you...
And I've seen his other videos, and he's not political, but he is very based most of the time, I think.
Care about other monsters, I can tell.
Because again, he really cares about history to the point where he actually worked on some productions, historical productions that I think he worked on Vikings or something like that. He worked on some historical productions. So he is pretty well known. He has some credits under his belt. Here's the thing. As I always say, it's pretty tough to be woke when it comes to something they actually care about. And it's very clear that he actually cares about history. So when it comes down to history, I have yet to see him be woke at all. And he's usually pretty based for the most part. He's not really like woke or anti-woke. He's just really into history. But it just seems normal. That's kind of what based means today, just being a normal dude.
Tell you right now, you're getting the Cyclops, the Laestrygonians.
You're kind of like the Caleb Hammer, exactly.
The witch Circe, the Sirens, Scylla, and Charybdis, they're all there. Strangely, though, there are almost no gods. Okay, we're probably entering spoiler territory here, but if
there are hints, or you get to see like the reactions, like the world's reactions to the gods, like Poseidon's angry sea, but you don't really get to see most of the gods. Like they're kind of imply that they exist. We can see like the rustling leaves, so to speak, of the gods. We don't actually see the gods. The only one we do see, technically speaking, is Athena, and probably because she took the form of a slaughtered priestess, which was Zendaya.
If you don't mind minor spoilers, Odysseus never speaks to Hermes, Aeolus, or Poseidon. The only god he ever interacts with is Athena, and even she's presented more like a hallucination than an actual goddess. Which doesn't really make much sense to me because there's definitely magic in this movie. Circe genuinely turns Odysseus' men into pigs. Calypso's in the movie too, but she isn't.
Well, yeah, they don't really like the whole thing about gods and stuff, but they do like witchcraft. Megalithon looks at the $10 super chat. Thank you much, Megalithon. Thank you very, very much. And see, did you spend a simple 12 minutes and watch Warbringers? The Sylvanas one about the War Thorns, but the Ashara is old school lore. And Jaina one, oh yeah, there's a Jaina one too. They have an Ashara one. They have an Ashara one because that's an evil queen. That's the evil queen of the High Elves. That's the War of the Ancients.
Goddess, she's just a mortal woman who rescues Odysseus and feeds him lotus leaves. There's no temptation of mortality like there is in the original story. If you're wondering how Christopher Nolan handles the gods, the answer is he mostly doesn't. Poseidon never appears. the closest the film gets is after the Cyclops is blinded, he cries out to Poseidon, and Odysseus' crew conclude that the Cyclops must be his son. That's about as explicit as it gets. And yet, a little later, Odysseus literally travels to Hades and speaks to the dead. Tiresias is there, his fallen comrades from Troy are there, so the afterlife is definitely real, but the Olympian gods? Apparently that's where Christopher Nolan draws the line. Now, what are the monsters like in the movie? Well, to be honest, the Cyclops is really disappointing. He never talks to Odysseus and his men, he just walks into the cave, seals...
He's just really kind of creepy and monstrous. Like, he's kind of there.
...the entrance, eats a few of Odysseus' men, and then goes straight to sleep, not considering these tiny humans a threat at all.
No, I have that scene of me. I have them in my roster now, so I'll look them up a little bit after the stream.
In the original story, it's much more interesting. Odysseus actually talks to the Cyclops, he gets him drunk on wine, and then blinds him while he's asleep. By cutting all of that out, Nolan's Cyclops just comes across as an idiot. I also thought Scylla was kind of lame. She's supposed to be a terrifying six-headed sea monster, but they made her look more like...
Like, everyone's agreeing that, yeah, just Nolan's Odyssey, Odysseus is kind of an idiot instead of a clever, witty character that he's supposed to be.
Something you'd find in a Hong Kong wet market. Now, when it comes to the story structure, I will give credit that Nolan actually stays surprisingly close to Homer. It doesn't begin with the...
But again, like, regular Odysseus is like, oh yeah, I mean, it sucks being Odysseus in any of these stories, even in the original. But you can really tell the energy is different because in the original and in the more I guess traditional renditions of the story in movie form or something, it's always he's clever and fun and powerful. And then, of course, in the modern day, more leftist version of the Odyssey, it's about how much it sucks being Odysseus, and that's it. There's no real upside. It's just about how much it sucks.
Odysseus leaving Ithaca, fighting at Troy, and then encountering the Cyclops and all the rest of it. Instead, the movie opens many years later with his son, Telemachus, living in his father's house surrounded by the suitors, before setting off for Sparta to search for news of him. When we finally do meet Odysseus, he's living with Calypso, but Nolan makes one major change. Odysseus has amnesia after eating the lotus leaves. Calypso asks him what he can remember, and that's how the film slips into flashback. In Homer's poem, however, Odysseus doesn't tell his story to Calypso. He escapes her island and recounts his adventures to the Phaeacians, who eventually take him home. Christopher Nolan removes them entirely, so the amnesia becomes his new way of framing the story. Now, as for the elephant in the room, the controversial casting. This is probably the most modern audience Hollywood movie you will ever see. Helen of Troy only scratches the surface. Ancient Greeks are played by black actors, Asian actors, Latino actors, Indian actors. It's all over the place. I genuinely couldn't see any casting philosophy beyond hiring as many famous faces as possible. Now, I know what some people are going to say. It's Greek mythology, it's a fairy tale, it's not our world. Well, the thing is, though, multiple times throughout the movie, the characters talk about an upcoming apocalypse and the Sea Peoples. The Sea Peoples were real raiders who helped bring about the collapse of many Bronze Age civilizations at around 1200 BC. So the movie wants to root itself in a recognizable moment of history, while at the same time asking you not to think too hard about the historical setting when it comes to the casting. Okay, next controversial question. Is the language as bad as you think? It's honestly fine, it didn't bother me once I got used to it. Hearing American accents in films set in the ancient world isn't as uncommon as you might think. Plenty of movies from the 1950s and 60s had Americans playing Romans, Greeks, and Egyptians, so to me, this just felt like a continuation of that. And despite what you might fear, no one's running around saying Gen Z slang, it's nowhere near that bad. What I did have more of a problem with were the costumes. Everyone looks like a Viking in this movie. They're all dressed in black and brown leather tunics. Whenever there is any color, it's faded, dark, and grimy. They even wear black armor. The worst offender is definitely Agamemnon. He looks...
Oh, yeah. I mean, I understand why they portray him this way, but yeah, I mean, that's obviously not even nearly historically accurate.
It's like Batman with a predator spine running down his back in the baking hot Mediterranean sun. And it's not just the costumes, there's Viking influence all over this movie. The witch Circe drinks out of those horned shot glasses you could buy from the Grimfrost website. Odysseus even sails around in a Viking longship, specifically this one, which completely breaks the illusion that we're meant to be in ancient Greece. Now, I know why Christopher Nolan picked it. He wanted a real seaworthy ship they could actually sail. Fair enough. But there are reconstructed Greek galleys too. He could have used one of those instead. Another thing I didn't like was the design of the Trojan horse. What do you think when I tell you that it doesn't have wheels? Seriously, every depiction of the Trojan horse we've ever seen puts it on wheels. Even the ancient Greeks imagined it that way.
Because how else would you move it?
Famous Mykonos vase from the 7th century BC shows the Trojan horse with wheels. I mean, it makes sense, right? How else are the Trojans supposed to get it back to the city? Well, in Christopher Nolan's The Odyssey, they drag it across the plain on logs with ropes, while the Greeks hiding inside are being thrown from side to side. It's ridiculous. What I will give Christopher Nolan credit for is that he actually shot on location in Greece, Italy, Malta, Morocco, Iceland. That part is genuinely immersive and it looks fantastic. But overall, going back to the question I asked at the start, is this a movie you're going to like? Well, if you care about Greek mythology as much as I do, probably not. Because when I watch a movie based on a story...
Hey, Glib! Hello, Glib! It's okay for Genghis Khan to be John Wayne now. When I'm a couple of years ago, Hank Azaria played Apu. Yeah, that was a problem. And now we have like a... Now that led to the recasting controversy of the Avatar movie. Now everyone has to match the race of the character they're playing for some reason. Hey, they got a blind Asian lady to voice Toph because Toph is blind and Asian.
I'm constantly anticipating those iconic moments. I'm sitting there thinking, oh, this is the bit with the Cyclops. I can't wait to see what they've done with it. Or this is where Odysseus meets Circe. Or this is the journey to Hades. But more often than not, when those moments finally came, I was left feeling disappointed. Because many of the changes Christopher Nolan made left me wondering, why? Why make the gods ambiguous when the monsters, magic, and the afterlife are all real? Why cast the movie this way? Why dress everyone up like Vikings? Why give Odysseus a Viking longship when reconstructed Greek galley ships already exist? I spent too much of the movie asking why Christopher Nolan had made these decisions instead of getting swept up in the adventure. But I will admit that this could just be a me problem. It really boils down to how much do you care? Do you enjoy Christopher Nolan's take on The Odyssey? Or do you think I'm being pedantic? Let me know in the comments. Love to hear your thoughts.
There we go, chat. So, yeah, this is everyone all the way around was like, this is not the win that the wokies think it is. The Odyssey was not the win that they think it is, and I tend to agree that it's definitely not the win that they believe it to be. It's more like the Christopher Nolan movie that had woke stuff in there, but it really bogged it down. Everyone is catching on. Everyone noticed it. That all the wokeness stuff, all the everything sucks stuff, that's what kind of wokeness kind of is. It's not like it's just it comes in the form of we hate men, we hate white people, we hate America, but really deep down, it's just everything sucks, and we hate you. We want to change the world because everything sucks. It's always negativity. It's always pessimism. The other face is, well, LD liked it, but he also liked Joker too. It's true. Definitely true. Let's see. Anyway, chat. Anyway, I have a lot more stuff for tomorrow. It's like a lot of stuff that I have left to cover, but we're going to have to wait till tomorrow, chat. Wait till tomorrow because there's a lot more stuff. But you know what? Let's do this. Let's go ahead and as an additional extra video, because these have been kind of short yesterday and today. Let's watch this. Warbringers. Jaina Warbringers. Check it out, chat. World of Warcraft / Warcraft lore. Let's check it out. Let's see what kind of story they made for Jaina Proudmoore. Well, that must be her father's sword, I assume. Because her dad was Admiral Proudmoore, and I think they had to kill him. I think Thrall had to go to war and kill Admiral Proudmoore.
Beware, beware, the daughter of the sea. be where I heard him cry. His words carried upon the ocean breeze as he sank beneath the tide. Those blood-soaked shores of Kalimdor, where sailors fought and died, the admiral fell.
Is this like right after that? I think this might be right after that war. Like the immediate aftermath of Thrall's battle against the Proudmoors, where Jaina took the side of Thrall, obviously, because Admiral Proudmoore went kind of insane, I think. Because I guess he was away for everything. I was like, what the hell? What's going on here? Why are all these orcs running around?
Because she left his side.
Why this, so daughter of the sea? Why this, did you forget her seaside land?
The song kind of sucks to be honest. This song kind of is just I feel like they're really forcing in all these lyrics. Let's see.
Always the pride of our nation's eyes. How could she go astray? When she did flee across the ocean deep, the admiral followed west.
That must be a ship. That's kind of cool. This part's kind of cool. Okay, seeing Admiral Proudmoore's ship.
What else but sail to save a daughter's life and pray she stood regret. But there he found upon those distant shores enemies on the rise. But when he faced those savage foes, his daughter stood aside.
Oh, it's a song about how Jaina betrayed him. Because this song, I guess, would be from the perspective of the men or the outside looking in. Because she did, I think she allied herself with let's see, I think she allied herself with Thrall, or just stood aside and said, "Go ahead and do it, but I can't help," or something like that. But she did help him. I think she did side with Thrall, though. She did side with Thrall. Let's see. I like sea shanties, just not this one. I like the "Leave her, Johnny, leave her. Well, the wind is rough and the journey is long. It's time for you to leave her." What we do with the captain's daughter? Or no, was it no? It's just what we do with a drunken sailor. What will we do with a drunken sailor? Like, those are pretty good.
And buried deep.
I was thinking, like, why are the orcs look so savage in this one? I know they are warrior like and savage, even under Thrall, but they're not like demonically evil under Thrall. But they are that way from the perspective of the Proudmoors, or the perspective of what was it called? Her people. What was it called from? What are they called? Kulturas. Like, they would be from the perspective of Kulturas. And no wonder Jaina never really went home, because, I mean, how could she? Right? Like, if this is the song, if everyone knows what she did and that she didn't, that she turned against her father from their perspective, like she turned against her father, and she either supported or just turned a blind eye while the orcs killed her dad, then yeah, she can't really go home either. And she can't really be hailed as a hero as much anymore either.
Beneath the waves, betrayed by family, to his nation with his last breath cried, "Beware the daughter of
Okay, it is kind of cool because this gives her a kind of a parallel. I didn't notice this before, but it does give her kind of parallel character arc to Arthas, because Arthas went out and actually became evil and came back and betrayed his dad. Meanwhile, uh, Admiral Proudmoore went off and kind of went insane, came back, and then Jaina was like, I can't let you do this, Dad." So it's like the same story, but from opposite perspective, opposite ends. Where it's in Arthur's story, it's his son, the child that went evil to slay his dad, and then in Jaina's story, it's the dad that went kind of insane. Uh, so that and then the daughter had to step, the child slash daughter had to step aside and slash help his downfall. It's kind of interesting. I never noticed that before, but that is in Warcraft 3. Yeah, that's blatantly in Warcraft 3 at the end. I think it's during the extra stuff, like the additional missions or whatever it might be. I think it's like the orc campaign in the DLC, I think. But yeah, that's what it is. I never noticed that before, but that is what they wrote. It's Jaina has a very parallel story to Arthas, but from the other end. That is very interesting. And they're both seen as traitors. One because Arthas actually is a traitor, and then but Jaina is seen as one because no one really knows what happened, right? Most people don't know what actually happened on that day during that battle when Jaina sided with Thrall against her own dad. Like, no one actually knows what happened. And from everyone else's perspective of the Marines and the people of Kulturas itself, right? This like, but Jaina betrayed her dad and sided with the orcs. That's what they see. So it makes sense. This is pretty cool, actually. Jaina raised her dad's ship? Is she like a necromancer? Like, what's going on?
I'm listening now. Father.
Listening? Okay, like I'm listening now, Dad. So this means what happened? Did the orcs turn on them? Like, what happened? What's the context of this? Because the whole thing is like Admiral Proudmoore was like, "No, you can't trust orcs; they'll turn on you. We got to wipe them out, Jaina." And she sided with them because they were being led by Thrall. So I can only assume now, if she's having regrets, that the orcs did turn on them. Is that what's happening in this context? That they are going back to war against the Horde?
I heard across a moonlit sea.
And see, Fenris says this is the beginning of the third war in BFA. The new war chief has destroyed Jaina's city, Theramore, and Jaina decided to take her vengeance. Oh, well then, yeah, I'm pretty sure she's at this point. She's like, "Dad, you're kind of right. These orcs are warlike, and they don't really like us very much. They destroyed our city." Let's see. And it says she also raises her father's ship and goes to war against the Horde. So she gets her father's ship. That's pretty awesome. Is there like a book about this? Because okay. Is there a book by a good writer about this? Not like a feminist writer. Is there where they going to make her like some girl boss character? Is there a book? Is there a story or a book about this particular event by a good writer? Because WoW and Warcraft don't make any sense anymore because there's no war in Warcraft. It's the same old status quo warriors against supervillains. Yeah, that's why I checked out at WoW eventually. I like the main games 1, 2, and 3, the DLCs, things like that. So even the DLC for I guess it's not DLC, it's more just an expansion pack. But for 2, you had Beyond the Dark Portal, which was awesome, and then we had Warcraft 3 and the Frozen Throne, both awesome. And so I like those. And then the beginning of WoW was fun. But yeah, what I've heard is that it has became a bunch of regular dudes against a bunch of supervillains, and essentially turned to Marvel. And I'm like, well, no. It's not really what I liked about Warcraft. Anyway.
The old voice warning me.
That's pretty hardcore. Raises her dad's old ship and like kind of starts to fight against the horde in her father's name. That is kind of cool. It's because it's directly a result of the tragedy and the Shakespearean struggles of that we got in Warcraft 3. Because Warcraft 3 was peak, absolute peak.
Beware, the daughter of the sea. Beware, beware of me.
I would say read the lore. Some of it's pretty cool. I read like the trilogy of the War of the Ancients and stuff of Richard A. Nake. I really like Richard A. Nake, even though he's kind of cringe. I do like his stuff though. Like it's kind of like fast food. Like I know it's bad for you, but it's still pretty good. Like it's I would have to say that it's technically kind of bad. Story is kind of interesting if you're a fan, but he blatantly makes a Mary Sue. I mean, it's just Ronan is a Mary Sue. It's his name is Ronan. First of all, so it is like a Mary Sue kind of thing, and it's really like, are you okay with that? I read his book, his first book, this cover to cover in a couple of days. It was pretty good, and then I read his trilogy of War of the Ancients, which I found very delightful, even though it's pure cringe because they couldn't just write the War of the Ancients, right? From where Ashara kind of like went to war against her own people and Illidan did all of this stuff 10,000 years ago. It couldn't just be that. He had to have his main security blanket go back in time with his elvish Windrunner girlfriend so that they could experience the War of the Ancients. Oh man, that part's kind of cringe. But thing is, I like Richard A. Nake. His stories, I think they're pretty funny, pretty cool. But purely on a level of indulgence, not because they're like high-minded literature. It's pure indulgence, I will admit. But yeah, it'd be kind of like Filoni going back and doing like a Star Wars Old Republic story, from like 1,000 years before the main trilogy happens, and then starting it off by having Ashoka Tano go back in time. That's kind of what it would be like. Like it's these authors taking the security blankets with them. But I don't know. This is pretty cool. I do like the context of this, mainly because I have no idea what the other context is. So to me, I mainly know Warcraft 3, there was a war between Thrall and Admiral Proudmoore. Thrall had to kill Admiral Proudmoore with Jaina's help. And now the same horde with the new war chief is running rampant on the Alliance. And she's like, you know what? I'm sorry, Dad. Let me raise your ship and I will fight the horde in your name as apologies. And it's pretty cool that the nation of Koltaraz kind of sees Jaina as a traitor, because technically she is, because she fought against her king / dad. She might, if this were Greek mythology, she might have the Furies come after her. But it's very interesting because she technically didn't do anything wrong. She sided with what would bring peace and maintain prosperity. Her dad was going to fight a war that didn't really need to be fought in a time when humanity was like on its last legs, right? So that's kind of what makes more sense. You kind of understand why she would side against her dad, because her dad kind of went insane over this. But then she's seen as a traitor, which is a very interesting aspect. I did not know that would happen. That was very interesting to learn, that her own people see her as a traitor and a monster because she betrayed her king. Is War of the Ancients book 1, 2, or 3? It's essentially from 3, but it's a lore that happened like 10,000 years before anything else happened. But it's essentially built on lore from Warcraft 3. The Night Elf ones. The Night Elves. Anyway, I think so too. That's my favorite games, was the RTS ones. I did like WoW for a while, but I don't know, it didn't really catch me as much after that while had passed. And it had become like warriors fighting supervillains, which I kind of like the idea of like this armies battling it out. I thought that was pretty. Same reason why I like StarCraft. Anyway, chat, very cool. I like this little tidbit of story. That was pretty interesting. Brought some pretty cool ideas into play. But for now, chat, we're going to move on. We're going to move on to stream memes, chat. Stream memes. So here is what's going to happen, chat. We have reached Pillarman. So we're going to go ahead and go there next. So lower your volume or raise your volume, whatever you prefer. Loud clip incoming. Loud clip incoming. So so here we go, chat. Lower your volume, raise your volume. Pillarman, and 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Ay, 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 ay.
All right, chat. Well, thank you very much, everyone, for your generosity. Here we go once again. Down once more into the stream memes. And to see, that's why I'm trying to get my workouts in so I can look like Pillarman. I don't want to look at Pillarman. Wait, that's part of it. You got to look at Pillarman because that's like you're like, oh yeah, I'll just be lazy today. But then you look at Pillarman and like, oh man, yeah, I gotta go to the gym. Leon says, Jaina, one of my favorite, but Jaina, one of my favorite characters. I'm sure you will love as Ashara one. No song, just lore. I mean, Ashara is very interesting because she's known as like the evil queen, but like Ashara is the queen of the high elves, like the ancient queen of the high elves, and she's still respected by the high elves, the people who helped the alliance. And the other side was the night elves. They kind of had that split long time ago. It's pretty interesting stuff. Anyway, let's check it out, chat. So, who's ready to roll the dice? And with a real word sword was the friends made along the way. Benjamin Francine Thomas. Wait, why isn't your name on the sword? Let's see, Shrek. The main protagonist who fights a politician while dealing with an inner conflict. Animal's sidekick, but the protagonist frees from servitude. Villainous politician who think they're doing what they're doing is right. The rival swordsman, who is literally a fan favorite and some flavor of Latino. That guy's Brazilian, by the way. That character is Brazilian. So, like a Latin swordsman, a Latin rival swordsman. Which report the spells against Trump aren't working. He has a shield. Well, yeah, he's Trump. Imagine having an evil version of yourself. Well. He's probably thinking about other women. Him. If you're late to special ed, is it okay for the teacher to call you tardy? If tomato is a fruit, then is ketchup a sauce, a syrup, or a jam? Oh, here we go. 1 billion Donkey Kongs versus one toddler. Who wins? He's literally named the toddler who wins. So if you think 1 billion Donkey Kongs stand a chance versus one toddler who wins, that's his name. Yeah, it's not separated. It's not versus one toddler who wins. It's 1 billion Donkey Kongs versus one toddler who wins. So obviously he's going to win. There's the game, by the way. The Punisher, PlayStation 2, The Punisher. That was a really cool game. Fantastic. Happy birthday to legendary Antonio Banderas. Happy birthday to legendary Rona Mitra. And there's Snowflake in Safe Space. the new redesigns people did. The people went all out redesigning these crazy, stupid, bland versions of them. I guess like not renditions, but like these character designs are just so bland and empty that all these artists on Twitter decided to make their own versions. Like the retardation of wokeness really does inspire people to like, I could do better than that. Space. I'm going to one place not corrupted by capitalism. Space. There you go. Yeah, there it is. The book can also be a hat. Everything I learned is a lie. It's not rewrite history. This restaurant is not for cripples. I don't think so. And see, I am almost done registering for the site. I just have to fill in this last thing. Uh-oh. Uh-oh. Why you don't make it something it's actually possible? There's problem. The abstraction of Jax. When it's Slur Tuesday. But only slurs that have been approved by the Holy Contemptuous. What is this? Pacifica Northwest and Mabel. I guess they become friends later or something. I guess they do. I think they do become friends in the show. Now that I think about it. And is a very busty Mabel later on, just like F cups. There you go. This looks pretty cool. I don't know what this is. Oh, it's Jax being abstracted or something, or being tortured, I think. People really like Magic Circus. Like, that's a famous painting. They put Jax in it. Clyde, you asshole. What's this? Age of Empire 2? Oh, yeah, that's right. Chris Chan was also in there. Chris Chan getting a cameo in the EDP documentary to call him a disgusting predator. Who should be in jail was not on my bingo card. Yeah, just I don't think you should be casting those kinds of stones, Chris Chan. Anyway, chat. Anyway, we're going to go ahead and close the stream for the day. And thank you much everyone for joining me today. Thank you much, Best Chat, for always being the best chat. I hope you have a wonderful rest of your day. See you all again, of course, next time.
In my locked, lonely tower, the world is out of sight. A witch by day, a beast by night, I embrace the hellish blight. Of kings and crowns and holy souls, I hope they fucking drown. Let trumpets blow, sing hymns they know, and bear my vicious frown. But my heart will not break, and I really hope for their sake. They're bumbling and innocent, their doom would be imminent if they dare forget Maleficent. You'll remember my name. You only have century of malicious hate. You'll remember my name when the heavens burn aflame. Now you shall pay the price as I banish paradise. You only have yourself to blame. No, my heart will not break. Pray now for heaven's sake. Sing every holy verse. You'll never break my curse. I will never, You'll remember my name as the heavens burn aflame. Now you have paid the price, and I vanished paradise. You only have yourself to blame. Burn every spinning wheel. They'll never break the seal. Let them hide far away beyond the reach of night and day. No, my heart will never break. It's yours I came to take. You may deny what waits ahead, but before the holy sun has fled, she pricks her finger, and she's dead. You will remember. You will remember. You will remember Maleficent. Maleficent. Maleficent.